It takes half the day for you to journey from the Minecraft arena beneath the dusty cauldron to the holdings of Clan Royal. You ride in lavish comfort in a carriage pulled by 2 horses and escorted by 16 mounted cavalry. The Prince, Lovell, alternates between riding along in your carriage and riding mounted beside his vanguard. He is giddy with excitement at bringing you to meet the king.
I've not seen a contest that close in ages. And all the ciphers, I mean, I know they're against the rules, but they sure do spice up the spectacle. Chaotic G's thin-brimmed hat, but it was fun to watch.
Talking quickly, the prince explains that you'll be joining the king for dinner. Strictly speaking, he hasn't cleared this with the king, but generally his father indulges these whims. It would be best, therefore, for you to kind of stay in your rooms until you're fetched for dinner to avoid any unwanted spectacle or, just anything that might turn the king's favor from you since you aren't technically invited. When you arrive, you'll be taken to Domus Regie, which is the castle. You'll be escorted to your chambers by the king's chamberlain and await a summons from Lovell. The chamberlain will see to it that all your needs are met in the interim.
Oh, this is going to be such fun. With how exciting your race was, maybe I'll finally convince Father to join me at one of these spectacles.
The walls of the holdings, when you actually reach them, make Clan Truckta's meager wall look like a simple pile of sandbags. Huge marble flagstones serve as the foundation to a map of all Udril, stood on its end and wrapped around the holdings. It is crafted so well as to look like fabric or paper, though the sandy-colored marble that they use is sturdy as any other wall material would be. The map is dotted with a network of towers, representing the keeps throughout the land that house garrisons of the king. Each of these burns a brilliant amber through some cleverly seated gems that are hidden within the towers themselves. Between them, glowing sapphire blue, are the signal beacon towers. And the map's not just two-dimensional either, it's topographical, and it's representative of every hill and valley throughout the region. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing is an architectural marvel. The front gates are 2 massive constructions of steel, with winches and pulleys that allow a single guard atop the wall to swing them inwards simply by cranking a wheel in the gatehouse. As the gates swing open and your carriage passes through what one of the cavalrymen calls the Holy District, you're able to see vast monasteries to Kotix, Zanir, Gamteus, Awara, and even Kelnor stretching towards the sky, with some open-air shrines, enclosed temples, and residential buildings dotted between them. A large aqueduct runs through this district and off towards the castle, Domus Regie, which dominates the skyline to the east. At the western end of the holdings, every bit as tall and grand as Domus Regie, is Domus Lunae, a Gamteun cathedral. Your carriage passes between the cathedral and the castle as it merges onto a wide boulevard. This boulevard, a horseman at your window explains, connects the cathedral and the castle directly.
And the wind you feel at your backs blowing eastward is a sign of Gamteus' favor on the king. For centuries it's blown like this, even since the darkening, a sign that we are not abandoned by our maker. As you travel eastward down the King's Boulevard, you pass between market districts to your north and south. The north is a more robust industrial district, the south is more of a gathering place of artisans and specialists. But now that you have a direct view, all you can look at is Domus Regie, the home of the king. The castle has its own set of walls, ivy climbing gray stone blocks. Instead of crenellations, turrets, or parapets at the top of these walls, there are silhouettes there. Silhouettes of dwarven warriors.
The kings of old. Each king of Udril is seen here, all the way back to our first king, Ineus the Architect, your friendly cavalryman explains.
Each king holds in his right hand a weapon of some kind, for some a broadsword, others a javelin, others, a spear. But in their left hand, each holds the same scepter, 1 shin long, with a castle turret at its head. Several towers and tall buildings look over the walls and down at you, and as your eyes take in the majesty of it all, you see a middle-aged dirt folk woman standing on a balcony looking down at you. You recognize her instantly, though last time she was not dressed in the same finery. She's now wearing a silk dress with a maroon scarf and a necklace of pearls, but last time you saw her, she was wearing the sort of garb of a tumbleweb sheriff, and she was in Clan Truckta accusing you of some serious crimes and basically getting you thrown out of the clan holdings.
Excuse me? Can I go ahead and just dip my head down a bit? Just
yeah, Alan's gonna try to look away.
Yeah.
Look away.
Yeah, just oh, look at this thing I found on the ground.
Are you all turning away?
Yeah.
Alan's trying to act natural.
Yeah,
and
of course,
away.
naturally. I'm like.
I don't think I show above the window.
Just a little poke of your head.
Whoever's next to me, I just nudge and I just start talking to them. Man, wow, this is great.
What is, man?
I'm gonna go down the line. I need all of your stealth mods. I'm gonna roll stealth so you don't know how well you hid.
Okay.
Fox, what's your stealth modifier?
It's a +9. No.
1.
The same as Jeb's except negative.
2.
So wait, are you
All right.
taking the average or are you adding these all together?
I don't know. You all think you have been super stealthy.
Dump stats. Dump stats as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, you're pretty sure. You're pretty sure nobody has seen you, as far as you know.
Can I roll insight to know if she recognizes us?
Nope.
Damn.
You would have to look
Can
up.
we have all sat on the same bench in a row so that we're hiding behind Matt and only use his stealth check?
Then I will average all your rolls together. Eventually, though, she does pass out of view as the towering gates to the castle itself, Domus Regie, swing open, and you are led into a sort of entryway where the carriage pulls to a halt, and the cavalrymen form into ranks, and several of them dismount and escort the prince inside. And then once he is safely inside the castle, the man who's been explaining about some of the, city landmarks and things like that,
tour
that
guide.
cavalryman hops off his horse. Yeah, your tour guide hops off his horse, comes over and knocks on your door, and he goes, "Your rooms are this way, sirs." And you know what that means? It means it's story time at the Wing Badger Tavern.
Yay!
And we'll be right back.
Sinir, Gronteus, Kotix, Owara. Long ago, the four ancients created a world in harmony. Then, everything changed when the chat emped magic. Only Kelnor, master of good vibes, could stop them. But when the world needed him most, he vanished. 2 years have passed, and four adventurers have discovered a conspiracy, a company selling magic. And although their roleplay is great, they have a lot of XP to earn before they're ready to save anyone. But I believe they can save the world.
Let's meet our characters for the evening.
Do I go first?
Yeah.
I was
Just the same order we've gone in for the whole season.
Okay, just, well, you know me. I'm Matt, and I play Fox, all right? And he's a rogue changeling. And, he's a little changeling, he's changing up a bit. Come a little bit of bide, a little bit of, maybe warming up, and it knows. Maybe the next person will know.
Oh, do I go second?
Yeah. just like we have for the whole
Hey,
season.
I'm Wash. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, I'm Wash. I play Jebediah Peppermint, the gunfolk mole wizard. Wait, the gold... What? Thing.
The gold Pokemon wizard.
Something like that. That's the ultimate end. He is going to replace parts of his body until he is completely an artificed gunfolk mole wizard. Yes, that is who I am tonight.
Oh, do I go third? Anyway, hi, I'm Jake. I play Alan, the Azamar Barbarian Artificer. He's an Azamar. He's gonna mar it up a little bit, as you do. Anyway, that's me.
As you do.
Oh, do I go fourth?
Nope, I do. I'm Josh, your Wing Badger Game Master for the evening. And it's nice to know that I'm not completely out of practice. Now you can go.
Hello, I'm Trevor. I play Zofka Kebub, the Orc Cleric. If you don't know him by now, go back and listen to episode 1.
I thought you were gonna say go something else. Get lost.
Get lost, kid. You're not from around here.
It rocks.
Well, that was there. Those were some introductions, and we're all introduced, and here we are. As I described, basically all of the Clan Royal holdings are architectural marvels. The whole thing has been
It's
built
tangled.
by a combination
Marvelous.
of various architects at royal invitation. As we know, one of the ways to sort of ensconce your legacy in Udril is to be invited by the king to actually build something, a monument or a structure or whatever. Architecture is really important to their culture. And so the Clan Royals holding specifically are just an absolute masterpiece, but it's like a cubist masterpiece. Like each room is designed by a different architect or a different whatever. And so because of that, each of your rooms, and you do have private quarters, each of you in the same hallway, each of your rooms is completely unique. So what I'd actually love to hear from each of you is tell me about your quarters. What architectural masterpiece has been created for the place you're staying? So let's just start with, let's go opposite of our introductions. So let's start with Zothkug. So, you know, you're being led down the hallway by this cavalryman, and of course the hallway is this huge vaulted ceiling, big archways, marble. It's this, you know, it's a hospitality wing of the king's castle. So of course it's amazing, but each room is like its own insane thing. And before we do this, I would like Wash to come up with a color and Jake to come up with a noun.
Bird.
Puce.
You're led to a door, Zothkug, that says Puce Bird on it is the name of your room. Tell me about the Puce Bird private quarters.
All right, so the Puce Bird, one of the main staples of the room is it has this intricate like pulley gear system to open up a skylight in the roof of the roof of the room, so you can get like some sunshine during the day, but you can close it at night and make sure you stay warm and nothing flies in at night by accident or something like that. So that's like the staple of this room, and there's no like ropes, or you don't see any of the mechanisms, which is really the marvel of it all. Because like I'm sure other places, there's just a rope you can pull and stuff.
So is it like Japanese wood joinery where it's like you can't see any of the seams, but they're all actually apparent, like the whole wall rotates? Is that what you're trying to say? Like as if the different building blocks were gears, or is it like it's all hidden behind the wall?
Hidden behind the wall.
Got it. So there's like a crank wheel somewhere that you can turn.
Yeah.
Awesome. And of course, besides that, there would be, like a fantastically comfortable bed, probably like a full 4-poster bed with hanging curtains and, all that kind of stuff. All the normal things you'd expect from a king's hospitality. Trevor, you should pick for me a noun, and Matt, you should pick for me a color.
Dog.
Turquoise.
What is the turquoise dog room like?
Well, the turquoise dog room seems as though it may have almost been like themed after something a child would want to spend time in, to sleep in, but not in a cheesy way, but in a very interesting way where the walls are painted like sky blue with like kind of some like clouds sort of like painted on as well, but like very subtle. It's kind of like a pattern going on the walls, and the
race car bed,
not necessarily race car bed, but like definitely like childhood vibe. And there is like also lots of like little like art. Oh, I just destroyed my microphone. Little like pictures, drawings on the wall, hung on the wall in like pretty like ornate frames that are like really well done, like realistic, like pencil sketches of dogs. They're all very sweet. They're good boys.
Owlin goes in, has a place to like set his stuff down. He's getting himself all acquainted, and the cavalryman leads on to the next room. Trevor, pick a color. Matt, pick the noun.
Sure, Truce.
Okay, sorry.
That's a color. Don't even. Move on.
Okay, you hit me with Puce. You hit me with this. I don't know what colors we're talking about, so I'm going with stairs.
Jeb, you are led to Chartreuse Stairs, which is another architectural marvel. Tell me about your room.
So, as we all know, chartreuse is a shade of yellow.
Yeah.
So as Jeb enters the room, it's almost like an ironic romantic period piece where things are painted and colored chartreuse, but they almost look like false gold, but like in an ironic sort of way where it's like very gaudy and very obvious. There's a massive round bed in the middle of the room, and everything that is fabric is leopard print.
I love that.
There's a balcony too.
I'm picturing you laying down on a bed that's fabric print, drawing clothes of the curtains that are fabric print.
Oh yeah, like leopard print. Like it just lets the curtain goes all the way around. It's like a big column in the middle.
Thanks for that description. I hate it.
It spins too. There's like a little lever, and it spins around.
Wash is going to pick a noun. Jake, pick a color.
I have the fastest fingers of the West to type this into Google to figure out what color you actually mean.
No, I'll do a simple color.
No, you don't do a good color.
Maroon.
All right. I know what maroon is.
Okay. Is it maroon apricot? Is that the prompt?
I'll say fruit, not apricot. We'll say fruit.
Maroon Fruit. That's a
Okay.
lesser known band in this region. Maroon Fruit.
So in this room, right, the walls are carved to look like a clearing of woods, right? So each part of the wall looks like a piece of a tree, all joined together, as if though you were standing within a wooded wall of natural trees, and the roof of the room being the canopy, and from it, the lights hanging down are these maroon lights shaped to look like apples hanging from the branches. The center of the room is a sleeping place. It is not a traditional bed, but instead more of a round futon laid down into the ground. Made this.
So it's a pillow.
Well, it's like a large pillow. Okay, it's a difference.
A beanbag, you could say.
less thick, more wide.
Same.
With the 70s plush carpet that goes down in steps like those old school halls.
But the edges of the trim of the wall is made of roots, or made to look like roots, and the floor is textured like grass, while the pillow itself being this nice plush brown pillow with accompanying same color blanket, of course.
Those are some rad quarters you guys are staying in. So you are dropped off in your quarters. You have somewhere to stay, and the cavalrymen explain to you they're going to post a guard for your security at the end of the hall. So you have this hallway of 4 rooms is its own sort of little isolated area, and then there is kind of a common space between your rooms that you can obviously sit down and talk and whatever. And you're left to your privacy, but there is a guard at the end of the hallway, so you can't like go out and just wander about the castle. The windows of your rooms are high enough up that it would be unsafe to jump out of them, although unsafe jumps have never really bothered you before, so you could technically go out that way. And that's pretty much the situation you're left in. Someone's going to come and fetch you for dinner, probably the King's Chamberlain. But other than that, you are left to your own devices. Now, we're going to jump into some just like free space for you guys to talk and communicate here in a second. I'm just going to let you know that while you're in your private quarters, as you're just going about your business, from time to time, the castle staff are wandering by. Someone might come in to freshen up the blankets, or maybe someone walks past pushing a cart full of food or something like that. And as you listen to these different staff people, you overhear some of the gossip around the castle. And each of you is going to receive a DM from me on Discord with some gossip that you've overheard that you can choose to reveal. And it won't all be at the same time. It'll be like throughout the course of the evening. This is just basically something that's ongoing that your characters are picking up, just so you know that that's coming.
Okay.
So, DM question.
Yep.
Have we slept between leaving from the races and coming here?
No. It was only...
Okay, it didn't come up, but I couldn't remember.
It's only about a half day's journey. So you left in the morning after you slept after your race, and then you left in the morning.
Oh, okay.
And you've
so
arrived
we slept between
around
last adventure and now?
Yeah, and you've arrived now, which is
Okay.
around lunchtime. And in fact, they're probably bringing in like a catered lunch for you, because you're going to have dinner with the king, assuming Lovell can swing it. So they've probably brought in a nice lunch for you, which you can elaborate on if you want to. But that's what's going on here. So you have however much time you want privately to prepare spells or whatever you need, but also you can hang out together. You can look around. If you want to look out the windows, we can talk more about what's around you. You have options. So whatever you want to do.
Actually, yeah, speaking of that, first things Fox is going to do in any new environment is to look for every single escape route possible. So first thing, in my own room, I'm going to be checking the one window that is shaped to look as if though it is a break in the trees, and see if what it overlooks.
Excellent. Your window is on the eastern end of the castle, and it overlooks a big green space. So you're about 4 stories up in this room, but the boulevard, like you've only gone up 1 story. So it's almost like the castle is kind of overhanging a cliff a little bit, if that makes sense. So out your window, there's 4 stories down, and then there are just big, wide green fields, but they're not like wilderness. They're clearly tended. So there's a little hedge maze in one part of it, like a little labyrinth. There are some nice gardens. There are orchards. There are a couple of sporting fields for like jousting tournaments and things like that. And there's even an archery range where you can see a couple members of probably the King's Garrison who are like, practicing archery, and there are some training dummies for them to, practice their swordcraft and things like that.
Clarifying question. Is this like Versailles?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to that.
Okay, that kind of garden style.
The gardens are very much like Versailles.
Okay.
If you want somewhere you've been to use as reference, it looks an awful lot like Dover Castle.
Ooh.
Almost as if someone might have been there when they planned this section of the
I wonder.
adventure.
Okay. I'm gonna immediately after seeing that go find. Are our rooms the only ones in the hallways?
There are other rooms in the hallway, but they're unoccupied.
Okay, I'm just gonna start checking all the windows, but you can go to somebody else for now.
Sure. Let's check in with whoever wants to go next. Whoever's got something they want to do.
Yeah, I want to. I want to do like I'm assuming with the privacy of this room and the distractiveness of how gaudy it looks. I'm going to cast a couple spells. I'm going to ritual cast alarm on the balcony door. I'm going to have it tuned to anybody who is not in the party. So if anybody crosses that threshold there, it'll mentally ping me. And then I'm also going to cast Tiny Servant. I'd like to cast it on a small pot, like a little clay vase pot, but something that's like kind of sturdy.
Yeah, in a gaudy room, there's probably tons of those around.
There's a little mauve pot. But that's going to last 8 hours, so he's going to be just hanging out.
So like a little pot with maybe like a decorative flower in it, all of a sudden the flower is its face and it sprouts little like root arms coming out the side, and it like boop, pops up on legs. And that's your little tiny servant.
Legs and arms.
Are there like bathtubs? Is there running water, or is it like the servants have to fetch hot water?
The
bring
servants
it up in
can
buckets?
fetch hot water and bring them to private baths in each of your rooms, but it's not like running water like they would have in Gaim. Also, before we move on to another room,
they run because it's hot. They have to keep it hot.
Jeb, your alarm spell that you cast, just so we're clear, if it triggers and you are out of range with your like little 100-foot radius weave, then when you come back, you will know, like as soon as the weave is reconnected, the alarm will come to you and like, hey, this happened. But that's a spell that's got to be able to get to you when it's triggered. So I just wanted to make you aware of that.
Interesting logistics.
So that's going to cut down the 1 mile range, but once I get it'll kind of delay it where it'll activate once I get close to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like a lot of the other magic effects that were in the Fallen Tower when you went there, like the spell still exists and it's still technically working. It's that it is not connected to the force that connects all things, and that's why it can't reach you. So as soon as it's able to get in reach of that force is when you can hear the alarm. Well, you know what I mean. Feel that the alarm has been tripped.
Yep.
So I just wanted to make sure we were clear on how that was going to work for you.
Roger.
Roger Dodger.
And that alarm lasts for 8 hours too, just FYI.
Zoth would like to tend to his plant, so he'll open the sunroof and let it soak in some sun rays. He'll request a pail of water for the plant, and then he would also like to request that hot water so he could bathe and get clean, and he'll probably put on his fancy outfit and hat.
So you request some hot water that comes for you to clean yourself up, and then you start changing into your fancy outfit and your hat. And the servants who are kind of moving around and bringing you hot water and stuff, they're all very polite, very courteous. But you do, as they're all working around you, you do have a chance to overhear a little bit of gossip from them. So I'll send that to you just so that's coming in. I'll send that a little earlier than I expected because you summoned some servants. They probably bring with you some nice like snacks and stuff with them because, in like a luxury bath, you got like your hot water. You got your little like sampler plate, next to you on a little ledge that you can kind of pick from. So for Zothkug, that's probably like, I don't even know. Like what kind of snacks is Zothkug into? Because he sort of gave up plants, right? Like because of... Yeah. So is it like, I guess it must be like little grubs and like, like little appetizer sized meats, like protein that is small.
Like a charcuterie board.
Yeah, like a charcuterie board. So yeah, there's some cheese. I'm sure cheese is okay. So you got some cheese. Yeah, That's cool. Anyway, so yeah, he's got like a little charcuterie board.
Zoth would also like to tip the servants.
Oh, okay, great. How many wingle digits you tipping them?
Yeah.
How many servants are there?
There are 3. There's one person bringing the hot water. There's a person who's bringing the food to you, and a
Before you
person who's
tip,
like cleaning up the
all
room.
right, be mindful. You tip too little. Remember the quarters you're in, okay? If you tip, they're gonna expect a tip. I'm just saying.
What? If I tip, they're gonna expect a tip?
You know what I mean, right? Somebody else knows what I mean.
I know what you
I know
mean.
what you mean.
I'm not following.
He's saying if you tip in a place that is used to the standards of a king, you need to either tip big or not tip at all. Because if you tip in the
Oh, I
middle,
see.
it's an insult.
Thank you.
Zothcog wouldn't think about that.
That's true. You raise a great point.
So he would just, since he doesn't have a lot on him right now, he would just do one each.
What you up to, Alan? What's he been doing this whole time?
Alan is going to go to the... in a literal sense, he's going to go to the bathroom, not like to relieve himself necessarily, although he probably will do that also. But he goes into the bathroom, he checks out what's going on. He finds like he'll find like a toothbrush and kind of look at it a little bit, and he kind of thinks back on what the heck was going on during that Minecraft race. Like, he's choking a little bit. Like,
He's kind of like staring at himself in the mirror.
yeah,
Like,
he's kind of like, what was going on with that? So he will try to use his magical tinkering to like make the toothbrush like shit, like have the light spell cast on it, basically,
Hey,
like emit light.
DM, can I just happen to bear chance on my patrol of looking for exits happen to enter the bathroom as this is happening?
it's up to Jake. This is his narrative scene. What do you think? Is it better for the scene if he walks in, or do you want Alan to have the moment alone?
Sure, well, no, it's in his bathroom. Would you just go into his
was
room?
it his bathroom? I'm sorry, I thought you said
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I immediately thought dorms. And I'm just like, there's the bathroom.
Fox just invites himself into your room and your bathroom.
A master architect crafted
Well-
each of your rooms, but they couldn't work bathrooms into them, so there's one communal bathroom.
I mean, come on,
Also,
they're the
the-
guest rooms. They don't
Also,
get
the shower
bathrooms.
has no water pressure. It flushes fast enough. Okay.
So anyway,
Yeah, so
Sorry,
Alan's
sorry.
got his toothbrush. He's trying to tinker.
Alan, he tries to tinker with the toothbrush, gets out his artisan's tools and starts messing with it, and he feels like he's on the verge of it. Like, he's just like, I feel like any other time I would have done this, but he's still at the very end. Just something happens. He like falters, and he is just like stuck thinking about like what just happened with his like childhood best friend. Like, this thing that like they had like both dreamed of doing, like what they had learned about as kids together. He just like doesn't feel the same now that that's happened. But so he just kind of he stands there for a bit, thinks about that. Alan like looks up suddenly, goes over, opens up the door, and he realizes he's just like holding a toothbrush and like his little bag of tools, like in one hand and the other hand. Just kind of like, hi.
Okay, anyway, sorry. Do you have a window in here?
Alan will turn around. He hasn't really thought about it, but yeah, he has a window. It's actually a pretty nice big window.
Maybe you didn't notice at first because the walls are painted the color of the sky.
Yeah,
So it's
sky
like,
blue,
oh, well, I
yeah.
guess this part's an actual window.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just, I kind of want to get a good look outside, and I just want to. I'm checking, Hey, so what's the toothbrush anyway?
I would.
You brushing your teeth?
Well,
I mean, I know
well,
we
you
just had
know-
a good lunch, so.
Toothbrushes, like there's a lot to be improved on with a toothbrush. I was seeing if perhaps I could automate it somehow. To make it so that perhaps you could just hold the toothbrush
Alan.
to your teeth and then it would brush automatically. Perhaps.
Alan, if you figure that out, you're gonna make so much bank. You know how lazy people are?
it's a work in progress. I think it could be quite convenient.
Hey, I'll be your beta tester, all right? I'll test that.
I'll-
3 sessions later,
I'll
when
keep that
Fox
in
has
mind.
no teeth. It's like, I'm not sure what happened. I just tried putting it next to my teeth.
But yeah, I'm gonna look out his window.
You look out his window. You can see his room is like on the southeast of the castle. So like basically your hallway is going along the eastern edge of the castle. So his room is the one at the end. And so through the sky window, you can still see, you know, ahead of you and to the left basically are the fields, the kind of gardens and things like that. But you can also see a little bit to the right. You can see what, according to your hand-drawn map from Abercrombie and his Finch, would be the legal district of the clan holdings. So there's like, you know, City Watch is housed there, not like the soldiers, but like just the city kind of peacekeepers. All of the scribes, the couriers, the libraries, you know, a lot of the paperwork type stuff gets done in the legal district. And it, of course, is kind of butted up against the castle so that if you needed to go and see the king, or if the king needed to summon someone, there's actually, it looks like way down there 4 stories below you on the ground, there's actually an entrance at the base of the cliff so that, you know, they could maybe come up the castle that way and get to, you know, if the king summons someone for whatever reason.
Okay. Anyway, Alan, I don't know how long, I mean, like, sorry, DM, when did we arrive?
You arrived at like midday. Your lunch is probably, you've all had, lunch has arrived. I guess you've been out wandering, so your lunch is probably waiting for you in your room, whatever you ordered.
So we got some time before dinner.
Yeah, you've got some time before dinner. You've probably got a good couple hours at least.
So Alan,
yes,
you get that toothbrush working, you tell me. Also, I saw there was a common room. Mm-hmm. We all up for a game of cards? I'm gonna invite everybody.
Yeah, that would be great. It is quite strange. It feels as though we have a long time. Like normally, I would want to like rest between now and dinner, but we haven't done much. I don't know.
I'm feeling kind of restless myself, man. That long ride, half a day.
Yeah.
Like,
do you want to take? I don't know. We could take our lunches out to the common room. Alan like gesture over, and there's like a bedside stand next to his bed, and there's like a tray of food on it.
When did you get lunch? Earlier. Wait.
Oh, they came earlier. Although it was interesting. Have you been around the servants much at all?
I'm gonna get closer to Alan. How so?
Well, I was just somewhat surprised. I was kind of in my own head, like not really. I was thinking about. He kind of pulls up the toothbrush. I was thinking mostly about this. However, the servants were just like talking quite plainly just about like things happening in the throne room recently.
Really?
Like supposedly,
whoa,
it sounded as though it was gossip.
Whoa, stop. I'm gonna look left and right. Is the door open?
Yeah, you just walked in it.
I'm gonna close the door. I'm gonna move him towards the window. I'm like, all right, Alan, keep your voice down, all right? We don't want to...
It sounded as though it was somewhat gossip, like heard it from someone who heard it from someone.
Okay.
But it seemed that an Aspesh diplomat visited recently and basically told the king that they're not honoring their alliance with Udril anymore, supposedly. They've actually made another alliance with the Hishalans. And he basically, like, apparently he had threatened the king, or at least gave some sort of ultimatum. So Udril is not on good terms with the Aspesh at this moment.
That's crazy, man. I just heard something related to that.
Oh, interesting.
I was searching the rooms, and like somebody was talking about something about like some army was going out of their way destroying temples. But you know what caught my ear? It was Hishalan. And that's who you just said was the Ashspinner.
Yes, are making a new alliance.
I believe the temples they destroyed were a temple to Gomptus and Coax.
Gomptus, yes. Gomptus, and I've never been able to pronounce Kotix. Yes, I was about to say I'd never been able to pronounce that one myself.
I mean, hey man, that's why honestly, I bet that's why half my village was worshiping K. Because, like, how'd you forget that?
I wouldn't know. But that's quite interesting. It's interesting that seems to be talk that.
Wait a minute.
It must be something if there's
wait.
A lot of people talking about it.
We need to get the others involved. I just had a connection. Think about it, Alan. I'm not going to talk about it here right now, but just think about it. They changed their allegiance, and they're destroying holy temples.
That does not seem as though it bodes well.
And it seems like it might fall in line with just saying.
Yes, that's fair.
But let's save this until we get everybody else involved. In the meantime,
Meanwhile, we cut back to Zothkarg's room where he's very pleasantly reclining in a bubble bath and like eating hors d'oeuvres off a platter. It's running out of one particular kind of cheese. He snaps his fingers and a servant refreshes them.
So
gives him another one wingle digit.
Yeah.
I'll meet you in the common room. I'm gonna go see if I got lunch. I hope I did.
Sounds good.
And I'll see you there.
See you there.
Fox heads over to lunch. Jeb, you have finished your ritual castings. As far as you can tell, they've worked fine. You don't see any indication that there was a problem with them. What you up to?
As we swap back over to Jeb's room, he is in the bathroom with a toothbrush, up on like a little step stool. He has found a dwarven-sized, ergo a slightly big dirt folk-sized chartreuse bathrobe. And he is just like, he's got some big fuzzy slippers on, and he's just like up there in front of the sink, and his little tiny servant is holding the toothbrush, and he's just like and it's like brushing his teeth, and he's thinking to himself, I should like automate toothbrushes, and like, you know, if I could do something like this that doesn't cost so much magic, maybe we could like make a cheaper version. And he's just kind of thinking about that.
Alan, you find your way to if at one end of the hallway is the door that's being guarded, then at the other end of the hallway is the common area, and it's a perfectly circular room. And again, this one seems to have been constructed by a completely different architect. The room itself seems to have been constructed like the inside of a birdcage. So instead of an actual wall against the exterior of the castle, there are pillars that are like open between them. So like you actually have like a nice wide balcony that stretches out past the circle. And so you can just step out. Half the room is just like a birdcage. So there's still half of it under a ceiling. But once you get to like the exterior, it's like little half arches, and then they lead out to a balcony. There are some benches and on the balcony, and then there are nice like plushy chairs under the roof covered part of it. There's a nice big table you can sit at and talk. And there are 8 or 9 rooms in this hallway, so the table is big enough to support 12 or 13 people at a time. So it's it's like a nice big table, and it's like a card table where it's like an octagon. It's not like a long banquet table. The coloring of the room is like a very clean, like whitewashed flagstone, and then there are non-gaudy gold braziers that are holding torches along the walls, like really nice masterwork stuff. And so far, none of the torches are lit, but as soon as you walk into the common room and sit down, one of the like Chamberlain staff walks over to you and goes, "Would you like the torches lit, sir?"
As of right now, actually, I'll go without. I think the natural light is quite beautiful.
Very well. Can I do anything to make your stay more comfortable?
No, thank you. Thank you, but thank you for asking.
Very well. And he, trots back to basically a spot out on the balcony where he can be summoned but can't hear what you're saying. Like he's giving you your privacy but staying close enough to serve if he's needed. Fox, you walk out to the same room and join Alan with your lunch. There is a lunch that was waiting for you.
I'm carrying my tray. I walk into the room, survey.
I say Alan's sitting alone at the giant octagon table.
Well, I can't let the lone kid during lunch sit all alone at the table. So I guess I'll go join him.
Do you sit like right next to him, or do you sit across?
I sit
or, like
across.
3 chairs down.
I sit
Okay,
across. Cool. Respectable, right? You don't sit right next to him unless you really know someone like intimately.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't sit awkwardly 3 seats down, but on the same side. All right, I'm just saying. You sit. It's common courtesy as the second person to arrive.
I often do the put one seat in between, like sit next to them, but only one seat in between.
So like urinal rules,
because it's not invading personal space. Yes, urinal rules exactly.
I'm gonna add it out of the tension pool. Not enough tension in this scene,
and that's quite an interesting technology that I don't know if like has been very like much explored in other places that don't have running water. Like, for example, here they don't have urinals.
Anyway.
Similar to that. Because then also it's somewhat inviting of like, if the table fills up, then someone can still sit in between you, like, hey, there's a seat left for you, kind of.
Anyway, I'm gonna immediately survey how many people are around me and how far the drop is for the balcony.
Sure. So from the balcony, you can actually see like further down the walls of the castle rather than just looking out at what's beneath you. You can now see like you can look up and you can look to the sides and stuff. So you can see the castle climbs a good 6 or 7 stories up from where you are. From straight up, it's hard to tell exactly how far it is, but it's far. It's a big old tall castle. Which is especially noteworthy given that it seems like, since it's all these different architects working, it's probably all been built by hand. Above you, there are several different rooms that have balconies kind of sticking out here and there. So if you were to try and climb the room or the wall, which, like, let's be real, you're a rogue, you're sizing up the castle, you would probably only have to climb a maximum of 2 stories before you were able to get to another balcony in some capacity. You know, you might have to go a little to the left or right, but like there are balconies around. You can also see now from your much wider vantage point here, looking down at the gardens and the other stuff that's kind of around, you can see that the hedge labyrinth is actually one of the Awarin labyrinths like you experienced in Tumbleweb. It's just way fancier because it's like these tended gardens. And then you can see that past the archery range and the kind of training area for the soldiers, there is an open air temple to Gomteus as well, with the huge metal altar in the center so that lightning can strike offerings. So you can basically you can see a lot of kind of religious significance in Udril, and especially in the royal holdings.
Okay.
But because you are now, you're the opposite end of where Jake's room was, so now you're up towards the northern end of the castle, right? Or on the eastern end. Jake was at the southeast corner, so you are now at the northeast corner, basically looking
east,
northward and around. So, well, yeah, you can see east, which is where those gardens are, and from here you can actually see over the gardens to the wall, like that goes around the clan holdings, which is that map, and you can see, several patrols of dwarven guards who are walking along the top of it. But then looking north from where you are, you can also see what, when you look down at your hand-drawn map from Abercrombie, is called the Embassy District. And it includes embassies for Gyme, Rustfree, Zarus, Tumbleweb, Ambercliff, Arivale, and a couple of the other like noteworthy lands in Urida. And you can tell which one is which because most of them have been architecturally crafted to highlight something about their land. So like the embassy for Arivale has on top of it like a masterwork sculpture of some of the trees that are native to the Jungle of Songs, and some of the, so you can basically see some like cool little bits of foreign emphasis there, I guess. And you can see, on those streets, they're all cobbled streets with there's lots of bustling and paperwork, and like people are busy bees over in the Embassy District.
Wow, it's a little overwhelming. So I guess I'll just sit down and enjoy my food and pass the chat with Alan here, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm gonna go check on the others. They haven't come out for lunch yet. And
yes, that sounds great.
I'll be back.
I'll keep an eye out here.
Yeah, make sure nobody steals my food, okay?
Yes, no one would do that. Not at all.
Now that I said that out loud, you're right. Yeah, nobody would here.
Yes, nobody would. None.
Anyway. And I just walk down the hall.
Alan just like gives his food a side eye.
A dignified exit indeed. You walk down the hall. Which room do you want to go to first, Jeb or
whichever is
Zothkug?
closest to
Zoth.
the end of the. Okay, then go into Zoth's.
There's no answer.
Oh God, they've got him. No, Zoth. Zoth.
So would you like some more of this kind of cheese, or would you prefer some of the sliced?
The slice, please.
Very well. Let me move this over here, and we'll slice up some fresh. Just tell me when, sir.
That's good.
Very good.
Do you hear something?
Yes, it appears one of your companions is at the door.
Could you answer that, please?
Very well. Shall I send him away, or just see what he needs?
No, he can come in.
The door is opened for you. You're still standing there knocking on it. The door swings. The door swings inward while you're standing there knocking, and an attendant, one of the Chamberlain's staff, is there. He's wearing his sort of servant's garb, and he's got in one hand a silver tray with about half a block of cheese on it and the little cheese knife set down next to it. And beyond him, you can see a huge round bathtub, and Zothkug is like neck deep in the bath, reaching out with his left hand to like pluck a very finely sliced cheese off of a platter that's sitting next to him. The servant says, hello, you've been invited in. Would you like some cheese?
Oh, well, okay. Sorry I interrupted. No, you can. I'm just going to walk off in the other direction.
You have strange companions, sir. And the servant swings the door shut. Walks back.
Just for the record, Fox is more unsettled by how lavish he immediately fits into this lavish lifestyle rather than the fact that he's naked.
Okay, so you walk down to Jeb's room.
Okay.
You hear a squeak, 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 squeak. He opens the door. Oh, hey, pup. He's still in his robe and has the fuzzy slippers on.
You decent?
I mean, I think I'm pretty decent.
Me and Alan are having lunch out in the common room if you want to join us.
Oh, hey, they left food out there.
Hey, yeah.
Hey, Chip, come pick this up. And a little pot comes around and picks up his charcuterie board. Man, I just brushed my teeth, but I am kind of hungry.
Yeah,
I guess that was
Come on down. Me and Alan, we got we've been having some very juicy conversations.
Hey,
I'm going to clear the tension pool.
Chip kind of looks out the hall, down one way, down the other.
Gossip about our hometown and whatnot.
Could you come here for a second?
Okay, I go into the door and shut it behind me.
And Jeb walks over to the bed and kind of like plops down on it to talk for a second. The wall in the bathroom was I don't know if it was like a little threadbare or a little thin or something. Maybe it was even coming through some of the ducting. But I heard some folks through the wall talking about some stuff.
Oh.
And I don't understand. They were using a bunch of words that I didn't know, but I know you're a little more streetwise, and if you've been meandering the halls, maybe you heard a thing or two.
All right. Here, wait. Let's get it a little closer to the center of the room here, and let's try to talk as quietly as possible.
I mean, I'm in the center. I'm on the bed. You want to get on the bed? Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
get under the covers.
All right. No, you have a flashlight. And Jeb pulls the curtain around them.
Oh, that works.
And so we're like in the middle of the bed with the curtain all the way around the bed. And as he pulls it around, it accidentally hits the little lever, and the bed starts to spin. But it's like slow, so they can't really tell because they're like inside the curtain.
Whoa! I didn't know you could do that, Jeb.
So wait, what?
The whole.
No, focus, man. It's just a bed. Yeah, I heard some guys. They were talking kind of. I don't know if it was heatedly, but there was like a little bit of a debate between them. Something about Big G being gone.
Whoa. Okay. I think I can catch what you're saying.
Well, I didn't know. I mean, this is a pretty religious city.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were talking about Gamteus or if they were talking about Garlel.
I would imagine.
Anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
Apparently some dude or dudette named Trinidad, that's what I was thinking, dude, is back from a mission. And they're supposed to be talking privately to the king tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah. And apparently they're like the Latricious. Are you familiar with that word? The
Electricus.
Electricus? Can I do a knowledge roll?
Sure. And listeners, you can just go back one episode to our tavern.
My brain doesn't go back one episode.
I know. Yeah. You guys can do your roll. I just was telling the.
I mean, I'm role playing. Jeb doesn't know.
I got a 9.
Fox, you don't know. Something to do with Gamteus.
It's a little.
It rings a bell, man. Like
Well, so the thing is they were talking like this was a little out of character, like it was some cloak and dagger kind of like hush hush sneaky stuff that was happening with some people that weren't normally hush hush. It would almost be like if the priests and priestesses of Awara were like sneaking in at night
to worship
to worship when they don't need to, and they don't typically do that. Like,
can you remember as much of the conversation as you can?
I think I died of the tension pool.
all right, let me see. It was Trinidad is back from his mission and was going to be talking to the king tonight. I remember that part. And they were like debating over why it was all like, why all the secrecy, because these people's how do you pronounce it again, Josh? Electricus, thank you. Because Jeb would have heard it, not seen the word spelled, and not know how to pronounce it. So like the Electricus, they said something about how they were normally beacons of hope and out in the open in public, not sneaking around.
They're like Domtuous monks or something, right?
Is that what it is?
I thought that's what they were.
I mean, that would make sense with Big G.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, they were like, apparently the mission that it was back from was like a couple months ago, and it was off east somewhere. I was looking at my map, and I didn't see anything out east that was kind of crazy outside of like Aspesh, but that's like southeast. There really isn't anything straight east that I can tell, except like this.
Wait a minute. You said Aspesh?
Yeah, it's kind of like east and to the south, kind of down by the acid corridor.
So I'm connecting dots here, okay? Because
hey, hold on, I hear somebody. Put a pin in that.
I'm behind the bed. You answer it.
And Jeb opens the curtains.
I get behind the bed, away from the door.
I mean, the bed's in the middle.
Yeah, I know, but like on the opposite side from the door.
All right, Chip. Let's be cautious. And Jeb kind of like walks over to the door.
What is Chip doing?
Hello.
As you walk to the door.
He's just kind of walking by, like he's healing. He's like right by his side.
I'm gonna add a die to the tension pool.
All right.
Because he's healing.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, it's Alan.
Oh, it's Alan. Oh, okay.
Can I
It's Howlin'?
Yeah, it's Alan. It's okay. It's Alan.
Listeners, Matt is peeking his head over the corner of his webcam.
I opened the door. Hey, come on in, Alan.
Hey, yes. Alan will shut the door and he'll see the head poking out from behind the curtains in the bed. Like, oh, good. Hey, come over here. Alan will like kind of beckon over. No,
you come over here.
No, yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes,
come here.
Okay.
On the bed.
And so we all hop on the bed.
Where's Zoth? I mean, if we're going to talk about this stuff, maybe we should get Zoth. Have any of you bumped into him yet?
We cut back to Zothkug. Zoth, what is?
He's finally finished and gotten out of the tub and is like slowly changing and getting like taking his time.
Is he like
ready.
looking at himself in the mirror? Like, how do you do?
Are the servants dressing him? Are the servants putting his clothes on? Okay.
No. He's putting his own clothes on.
Alan's gonna look at Jeb and be like, Jeb, you need to get rid of him, or at least hide him, and point at the pot. Dude, little guy. I heard a couple of the servants talking, and one of them, I don't know how, one of them saw him walking around and is gonna go talk to like somebody about how they think you are using real magic.
Oh.
Yes. I think that since I have a thought, a theory, perhaps. I think that because this nation's king has one of the pieces of the rod and is likely attuned to it, my guess is that they will suspect that you have a piece of the rod, and that may not be a good thing, because they didn't act in a way of like, wow, that's insane that he was using real magic. I don't know what to do with that, but it was like, oh, he's using real magic. That needs to be reported, kind of. That's at least what I read from that.
Do we know if, like, what if they don't allow that kind of stuff around here? Or maybe they...
That's what I'm saying. Yes, I fear that.
Well, I mean, I already burnt the shell on him. I hate to waste it.
Just hide him
Then hide. Yeah, you need to hide him in some way that if they search your room, I fear that it may be a case of perhaps hiding the rod somehow as well. I'm not sure what the logistics of that would be. It just I fear that could bring a lot more unwanted attention to us before we're able to explain our side of things.
What's this wall made out of? I'm gonna knock on the wall. What is the wall made out of? Can I tell?
Like an exterior wall or an interior one?
Exterior.
The exterior walls are like big old flagstones, like huge castles stand the test of time, like huge chunks of stone.
Jeb, you can change stone, right?
No, not very well. I can mess with dirt better than stone, but if the stone's been worked in particularly, I can't do very much with it.
Darn.
It's like natural stone that I can kind of tinker with. Hey Chip, go ahead and hop in my back.
The pot complies. Hops in your bag, basically.
Is there a way that Chip can pretend to be a normal pot? Can he play dead essentially?
Can he suck in his limbs?
Let's see. Hey Chip, move all of your limbs to the inside of the pot.
Chip complies, except that the feet that like sprouted out the bottom of the pot, instead of like retracting, those roots wrap up and over the pot and like tuck themselves back in. So it's almost right.
That's literally what I was expecting.
Except that there are some roots coming out the bottom of the pot that are now wrapped around the outside of the pot and digging back into the soil.
Oh, so it's not like Mr. Potato Head and they just move around.
Yeah.
So he's just like, well, that doesn't work.
Well, then
Just hang out in the pack for now. We'll figure it out.
It like nestles into your pack, gets all comfy.
I fear that your pack may be one of the first things they search, but if you think that that's enough for hiding, I
feel like my brain is not firing on all
Wait,
cylinders today.
hand it to me.
I don't know
Hand it to me. Yeah.
What, Chip? I mean, you can go get him. He's in my pack.
I didn't want to be impolite, but if you say so. And I just start digging into his pack.
Chip, come over here, because Fox is lazy.
Chip climbs back out of the pack, unfolds its little root legs.
You can take your
comes over
feet
to
and your
you.
hands out of the
I'm going to go ahead and grab him and put him under, I guess, in my pack is the best place to inconspicuously carry him for 30 seconds. All right, I'm going to be right back.
I'm going to add a die to the tension pool.
Where are you going with Chip?
Don't worry about it. I'm going to leave the room.
I mean, I can turn this spell off, guys. This doesn't have to be a big to-do.
No, this is fun.
I just didn't want to waste it.
I'm going to open the door. Is there anybody standing outside in the hallway?
There's nobody standing outside in the hallway. I'm also going to take this opportunity to announce to the group that chat has bestowed upon you a boon, a spicy boon. So if you see a moment where you want to like Ocean's 11 it, like, but luckily this circumstance is good, you can use your boon that way. Or if you would prefer, I will come up with a boon that is situationally appropriate for right now and just give it to you.
Okay.
I think
I kind of like Josh boons, personally.
You do or you don't?
I do. I kind of like Josh
I prefer
boons.
Josh Boons as well.
okay.
I thought you very happily said, I don't like Josh Boons. So be like, dang, that's crazy.
Savage. Okay.
That's my boon. I don't like Josh, and that's my boon. That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Makes sense.
I understand.
Just kidding.
Okay.
So I'm going to go
Go
to
ahead, Fox.
one of the abandoned rooms I must have gone through at this point.
Sure. Yeah, you've been in a bunch of them. You go to Grey Walrus.
Gway Walrus. Gway Walrus.
Gway Walway.
What happened to you?
Gray Walrus.
Yes.
Wow, I'm struggling with that. I'm gonna go in that room and quickly look around. From what I can tell, it is more north-centric, kind of like ice walls, and the bed itself looks like it's upon a jutted piece of ice from the floor. Walruses are shown depicted on the walls. and even has the little like automatopoeias.
You mean seals?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, no, they're walruses. They don't know better. And I'm gonna go ahead and look for like a cabinet that's never used, that looks unused. Anything that looks like it's just more decoration that it's meant for purpose.
Sure. You find one. These are all like architectural masterpieces. So there's a bunch of like drawers that don't open and like little cabinets that are way up high that no one could ever get to and stuff like that. So you just like climb up a shelf to one of the top like cabinets that has a drawer that like you couldn't possibly open, but it looks like an ice shelf. It's a literal ice shelf. And you like climb up to the ice shelf and like you can hide it up there.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put them. All right, Chip. This is from your master through me to you. Stay here until you hear from Jeb, okay?
Plant seems complacent. It like goes up there and stays there.
Okay, I'm gonna believe you. And I'm gonna crawl on down.
We're gonna use your boon for the. I'm not gonna roll to see if anybody wanders in while you're climbing on the shelves in a room you weren't given license to be in. Since I previously noted the rooms were locked and then forgot when you went in this one and you said you've been through it already, so we're also going to gloss over the fact that you broke into a room. There's your boon.
There you go. Automatic lock pick.
Yeah.
Boon.
Amazing.
The auto lock pick. Now, if you could just put that technology into toothbrushes.
Right?
Yes.
In that case, I'll make my I'll make my.
Chip is my bay. Chip is not your bay. Don't you be taking Chip away from
sorry,
me.
it's just that
D&D is Bay.
it just goes well with Old Bay, Anyway, East folk know. I'm gonna go ahead and head out back to make my way back to Jeb's room with my boon, which is why I said bay instead of way, because of B and boon, and there's
You
a
head
W
back
in
to
way.
Jeb's room. And it's no big deal. You make it there. You are
Okay.
unchallenged. Nobody seems to catch you.
They'll never find it.
So yeah, I'm talking to Alan on the bed when he walks in, and I'm like, yeah. So they said Big G was gone. What work could they possibly have? Like, what are they up to? I mean, I don't. But they're meeting with the king. That
It's
person's
probably-
meeting with the king
I would assume
tonight.
it's somewhat in regards to the meeting that I heard about with the king that I told you about
Oh,
with yes,
Yeah.
the ambassador from. I have to pull it up.
Apesh.
I took notes from Apesh. Yes, from the ambassador from Apesh, who basically said that they aren't going to honor their alliance anymore, and they formed an alliance with the Hishalans. Apparently he gave, as I told Fox, apparently he also gave some sort of threat or ultimatum. I'm not sure what their demands were, however. I suspect it may be...
I exit the curtains of the bed.
Get below the bed.
Cheese and crackers, Fox. When did you get in here?
Oh,
Man alive, you scared the fool out of me.
You knock on the door, and inside you hear cheese and crackers, Fox. When did you get in here? Like they don't acknowledge you're knocking at all.
Like when you're coming in a room that I'm in, please don't be stealthy.
knocking.
Shh. You be less shh. This is a normal reaction.
Somebody at your door.
Yeah, I know because they actually knocked. I walk over to the door. Who is it?
It's off, man.
Oh, hey, Zod, come on in.
Thank you.
I unlock the door. and I
You
let him
look
in.
inside, and Jeb is on the floor, like coming up to your shins as he always does, but wearing a chartreuse bathrobe and fuzzy slippers. And behind him, wrapped up in gaudy yellow curtains, are Alan and Fox, just their heads poking out of the curtains towards the door to see who it is.
Are we making a blanket for it?
But the thing is that the bed is turning, so like where they're have the curtains, and they're like dragging it like a shower curtain around it, and they've just gone around the edge, so they're on the other side of it right now.
Are we making a blanket for it?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And Jeb looks a little shorter because he's not wearing his hat, so he's like Just a tiny little bathrobe.
But you see Zoth in his full suit and hat, by the way.
I think you're a little dutied up for a blanket for it.
Well, we're meeting with the king. I figured I'd enjoy the refreshments, and man, it's so nice here.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah, you should come over here. We're talking about some stuff. We kind of overheard
I got some
things.
stuff to talk about, too.
Oh, well, hot dog. Looks like we're all hearing things.
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Oh, yeah, they're back. Yeah, they're in there. Let's go.
Yes, come in.
I like the idea that you just waited until they spun back to even with you, so like you were just kind of filling time until the bed spun back
He's
around.
not going to walk all the way around the bed and chase the opening. Are you kidding me? Yeah, scooch out of the way, guys. Come here.
All right. So
Wait, Foxman, what'd you want earlier?
what,
Why didn't you come in?
bruh? You were busy.
Not that busy.
I don't know what in the world that means, man. But I was always taught at a young age, the family bathes separately. All right. I was not about to intrude
That's
upon
weird.
your bathing time. That's what the other kids said when I was a kid too. That was weird.
You never used the public bathhouse?
No, my
Yeah, you never, got together with your family and just, all took
my
a bath
parents
together?
were very particular about it.
No, I'm actually with Fox on this one. I don't think that was really a custom.
No, you guys didn't have public
my childhood.
bathhouses?
I mean,
No, it was very very private.
obviously, we grew up in the same village, but yeah, no, my parents never let me go to the public bathhouse.
At that point
And
in
see,
time,
that's
you
quite
hear a knock
interesting.
on your door, Matt. You hear another knock at the door. Sirs?
Well, this well,
All right, hold on.
Yes.
Jeb waits for the curtain to go around.
Then,
And then I hop out. And I walk to the door.
hello, sirs?
And I,
Yes.
yes, who's
It is
speaking?
the Chamberlain.
And I crack open the door.
Hey.
Yes, Chamberlain. What can what can I do you
What?
out of?
I have been sent to inform you that the king has consented to Prince Lovel's idea of having you join him at dinner this evening, and I am here
Oh,
to make
remarkable.
sure you are sufficiently outfitted for your visit. I've got with me the royal tailor, if you wouldn't mind allowing us admittance.
Oh yeah, sure.
Is this outfit good enough, or do I need something better?
The Chamberlain, who until now had looked a little bit like, all these bumpkins, looks at you and goes, "A man of refined taste, I see. Yes, your outfit is more than sufficient to meet with the king. But we will need to fix up some of the rest of you. So let's get you treated here." And
Alan walks out from behind the bed, trying to appear like he wasn't in, like somehow he was somewhere behind the bed, not in the bed. But he walks out and he's wearing literally giant glasses, a tool belt, and underwear and boots, and he's just like, well, what do you think about this?
You don't have to say a thing, all right? You don't. We all.
I think
we all know.
got a lot of work to do. Let's begin with him. Jiminy? And the tailor hustles over to you and pulls out a measuring tape and doesn't take any time to wait for your permission or anything. Just starts measuring and spinning you around and lifting an arm here and kind of repositioning your waist there and just getting all the measurements. He's taking measurements on a chalk slate, and as soon as he finishes, he just slides it along the ground to the Chamberlain, who picks it up and hands it to an attendant in the hallway while he starts the measurements on the next person. He gets to Jeb and he holds up his measuring tape, and it doesn't have
I completely
it doesn't
disrobe.
have fine enough small measurements for Jeb's height, so he has to put it away and get out a smaller measuring tape that has smaller gradations on it. He goes, yes, the shin system.
Nice.
And then he crouches down and takes your measurements as well.
I T-pose.
He measures you in your T-pose, and then he puts your hat back on your head and measures your height with the hat as well. We'll have a sufficient hat made so that you can still feel comfortable. We don't want you to feel out of sorts. We just want to make sure that you're appropriate to visit in front of the king. And then he comes over to Fox and again does the same thing, kind of takes your measurements.
You guys,
What?
No, listen, all right. Have you ever heard of?
Sir, I'm here to take your measurements. I'm a professional doing a profession.
ask-
Don't make this weird.
consent before you just start feeling me. All right, I'm just saying.
We asked consent at the door.
Yeah, don't make it weird, Fox. Jeb says as he's like
Still
completely
naked and
disrobed on the ground.
T-posing. The tailor's done with him. Jeb is still T-posing.
I mean, he's furry. So.
Yeah.
All right, I consent, and then I T-pose.
The tailor again takes measurements, and he's quick and expeditious about his work, takes down some measurements, slides the thing out of the room, and says, "We'll be back within an hour with your garments for the evening. We have also provided you with," and he steps over to the kind of like side where the side of the room where the bathroom is, and he pushes on a hidden panel in the wall that opens up a lockbox. And he says each room has a lockbox like this in it, where you may store your possessions. Obviously, you won't be able to bring most of them in front of the king, and certainly not any of these weapons, which, of course, you may keep with you in your private quarters, but in case you are not aware, may not be worn or otherwise carried outside of your rooms without the king's writ. So if you'd please store them in here. There's only one key to each lockbox, and the key is in the lock of the box right now. So only you will be able to get to your items. Not even we can. It's very safe and secure. And then he kind of turns around and walks out, businesslike, and walks down the hall with his slates of measurements to go and begin on your outfits for the evening. The Chamberlain bows low to you and steps outside of the room.
Well, on that note, guys, I got a lot to unpack into this. I hope my safe's large. So,
DM, Jeb's gonna walk over to the corner where his pack is, and kind of like take his jacket and his hat off the top that he had like draped over them, and off of the side he's going to unsnap the buckles and take Big Boy off of it and dislodge the rod, slide it out, and reach over to the bandolier, pop a shell out, one of the smaller ones up on the top of the shoulder, and he's gonna like pull the capsule apart and kind of pour it out in the palm of his hand and kind of like rub it into like a little bit of a shape while he's holding the rod, almost like a mortar and pestle. And I'm going to try and cast a spell outside of the blunderbuss and try to channel it through the rod, and I want to see if that works.
What's the spell?
It's just going to be a cantrip. I just want to cast Prestidigitation. Oh wait, no. Dang it, I don't have that. I'm going to cast... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I do. I was looking at my other ones. I'm going to cast Prestidigitation and just like clean up a little bit of my dirty adventure clothes.
How do you do it? Like, so you're breaking your little shell apart and getting the materials out of it, and then just trying to basically like kind of focus on it the same way that you would like pull the trigger.
So essentially, what he's trying to do, what he's thinking is there are some arcane symbols that align with the materials that he packs into his shells. And so he's going to like pull the materials out of the shell and align the materials themselves in the palm of his hand in the symbol of like in the shape of the symbol. So it's like the small piece is going to like form one symbol, and then he's going to do the second one on top of it. And he's kind of like playing with it a little bit. But really this is more of like a proof of concept. And then he's just going to kind of like off of it with the rod, and then try to like channel the energy through the rod just by itself.
The materials are not consumed, and the spell does not take effect, and you can roll Arcana to try and figure out why.
Okay.
So Alan's gonna go back to his room and store his scimitar of speed and greatsword as well.
Great.
And yeah.
Zoth will put pretty much everything, and then he's gonna find one of the servants around.
You find one in the hallway. Yes, sir.
Could I have my plant with me when I meet the king, or should that stay here?
I think it would be wise to leave it in your room, but if you must bring it with you, we can see if the tailors can whip up some kind of covering or sleeve for it. It's just that it's dirty, and we don't really like to allow such things in the presence of the king if we can avoid it.
That's fair. It can stay here.
Okay.
I just wanted to check.
It won't be disturbed.
Usually
I rolled a 13 for a total of 22.
There are some words written beneath the arcane sigils, almost like an incantation of some kind. And as you're thinking about what you tried to do, you realize there might be like a verbal component to how this spell works, that in the past you've either been doing incidentally when you're like, just kind of like, when you fire or whatever. But it looks like there might actually be like a right thing to say to cast this spell. And maybe if you just said the words as well, then all the other materials and stuff would work together and the spell might work.
I'm going to lay them out again. And this time, instead of like kind of, blowing them off or dusting them off with the rod, I'm just going to say, presto.
And prestidigitation takes effect.
Oh my goodness, Alan.
Alan is in another room.
Alan would be freaking out right now. Okay. All right. And I will start to... Jeb looks around the room. This is a pretty gaudy room. We've already established that.
Yes.
Would it be reasonable to assume that the sheets are silk?
Sure.
All right. He is going to cast Fabricate.
Okay.
And he's just going to use his blunderbuss on this. He cast Fabricate on the sheets, and he is going to... It's going to just like pull them off and make a very fine silken pouch with a nice little flap cover that has like an elongated strip that like slips into a little crevice. Like there's no buckles or like metal or anything like that. It's like all one single woven piece of silk, because it just reorients the silk into this little like a satchel type thing. And I'm gonna pop all of my shells out of the bandolier and put them in there and just kind of keep it by me. And then I'll put Big Boy and the blunderbuss into and like all of my other stuff into the lockbox.
Are you putting the rod in the lockbox as well?
I'm going to keep the rod on me.
Okay. I'm gonna roll the tension die because you just cast a lot of magic. So I'm just gonna see if anybody might have.
Is Zothgug keeping his rod on him as well?
No, Zoth would have put it in the lockbox.
Gotcha.
Okay, so Zoth's things are all in the lockbox, and Jeb has kept the rod on his person. Everyone has changed. Fox, you were able to unload everything into your lockbox, no problem at all. The tailor comes back, and he's ready to dress everyone, and as he does, he says, I've also brought a specialty brew from one of our kitchens for you to try while we get the test fit here going. But you try them, and it's fine. The flavored enemy, it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, they're all warriors. Clan Royal are all proud of their heritage from Clan Lupus. It's probably like one of those kind of deals. It's like half hazing is kind of what this drink was, but you participate. You're very you're gracious about it, and nobody gets offended. You just are like, I probably wouldn't do that again. And at the same time, the tailor is able to get all the test fits on your clothes, makes a handful of alterations. When he's done, the three of you who are not Zothkug have been outfitted in matching tunics. They are a silk fabric reinforced with cotton, so that it's really, really smooth where it touches your skin, but it's also like sturdy and durable and kind of like moves a little bit. It doesn't have the same kind of frayiness that silk material normally does. And it is a silver gray the whole way along the line of it, except it has a V that starts at your shoulders and then kind of comes down to where a V-neck would end. That is a like deep royal blue material. And that's the tunic part of it. It's not tight fitting, but it's not overly baggy. It's just like it's fabric that can move. And then it's cinched around your waist with a gold belt, not like made of gold, but threads that are gold. It's cinched around your waist with a gold belt. And then you have just like really simple kind of like dark traveler's trousers, except that they're made of finer materials. So again, it's that like silk reinforced with cotton. So it's all very lightweight material. And yet at the same time, like you're standing, when you walk out into the hallway and like the wind kind of comes down the tunnel or the hallway from that exterior wall that has holes in it, it's surprisingly warm. Like the fabric also it's good quality clothing. Basically, it does not have any pockets. It's close enough to your skin that if you tried to hide a weapon underneath of it, it would show. And especially Fox, who's really accustomed to looking for these kinds of things, you're like, this is probably something they do for everybody who visits the king, because like it's the king and people are trying to not have him assassinated.
True.
So they are,
and they just really trust Zothkug, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess so. It's almost like this is what they do when they have to, like, if we have to make you change because you're not fit for the king, we may as well put you in the most favorable material for us to also defend him. But they don't want to be discourteous, so it's like, well, Zothkog brought his finery. That's an offering of respect to the king. We don't want to throw that in his face. So anyway, between all of those things, you get all outfitted and kind of readied up for dinner. And you head to the dining hall. You're escorted there by the chamberlain and a couple of not mounted, but like the same cavalrymen who were riding with you before. They seem to be sort of like not quite an honor guard, not quite a personal guard, but like the members of the garrison who are always staffing the castle, like sort of like the Secret Service would be in the US. It seems like this particular cavalry regiment, because they're all like joking with each other and, you know, but they also have that look of like, these are people who have killed men, you know, like these are people who know exactly how to do their job. And so, yeah, they walk with that quiet confidence that like really well-trained bodyguards have. And they escort you to the royal dining hall. Now, the dining hall is incredible. From what you've seen of the other rooms of the castle, you knew that like basically everything about this particular structure is a masterpiece. But the dining hall is something else altogether. It is a perfect sphere, and it is dyed, the floor is dyed to reflect the moon. So it looks like, with all the craters and dimples and things in it, like the moon, except it's perfectly flat. It's just like a perspective trick with the paints and the dyes that they've used. And then there are these huge, bright golden pillars that stretch up to the ceiling, which is vaulted so high that you can't actually see the ceiling itself. It fades into darkness 4 or 5 stories above you, so that all you can see is the gold reflecting back down like stars in the night sky.
Wow.
There is it's not a moat, it's not a pool, but there is like a 1 shin wide channel that runs the outer circumference of the room. And there's like a little water feature of water kind of flowing down into it. And the reflected golden like pinpricks from the ceiling dapple off of it so that it always looks like sunset over the water. And then there are huge windows that are facing in every direction, because the altitude of this room is high enough that you can see in every direction. It's sort of like up in one of the towers. And so there are these huge wide windows that show you incredible views of Udril in every direction. So you can see the perfectly setting sun from anywhere in the room because it's dinner time. And you would be able to see the sun rising in the morning and all that kind of thing.
Can we see the spires from here? Like the 3 spires that like raise up
Yes.
off of the planet? Whoa.
You can see them way off in the distance.
Jeb has never seen them before, or like is
Yeah.
enthralled by this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about
So
that.
basically due south of where you are, there are these 3 kind of huge obelisks just stretching up however high. Like you can't even tell how high they go from here. But certainly higher than you can see, like up to where they impede your view of stars. And then you can also see, because you have these windows in every direction, you can also see some of the other towers of the castle. So that same balcony where earlier you saw Alex Greenvale standing there all bedecked in her pearls and stuff, she's not there anymore. But like you can see over to that tower, you can see over the wall and to the market districts, which are closing up shop for the day because the sun is going down. And then way down the boulevard at the exact other end, with its breeze blowing directly towards you and into your face, is Domus Lunae, which is the House of Gomteus, the House of the Moon. And it's an equally tall cathedral. It's actually taller than this room is. But the top of it, from up here, you can see that the whole top floor of it is just a huge shrine to Gomteus with several large steel altars for lightning to strike and a bunch of different places of worship. And it has quarters built into it. It's just this incredible masterpiece of architecture, like everything else here is. The room that you're in, as you kind of are like turning around, taking in the views, the king isn't even in the room yet. You are directed to your seats, and as you sit down, a servant for just your seat steps forward to take your order. So every seat at this table, which is a large round table that can seat up to 50, every seat has an attendant waiting just in case the seat is filled. And so as soon as you're sat down, your attendant comes up to take your order, figure out what you'd like to eat. They get you some drinks, refreshments, whatever. As you're sitting there kind of answering their questions, Lovell strides in from one of the other doors. My new friends, welcome to the dining hall. I trust all of your needs are being met. Everyone's seeing to you, yes?
Of course.
Oh, absolutely,
Yes.
Lovell. Good to see you.
Service
Good to
has
see
been
you.
immaculate.
You're wonderful.
I'm so pleased
Let's
to
give a
hear it.
toast to your. Wow, my word. Sorry, DM. My brain just short circuited. What's the word for when you are hosting somebody? And
Hospitality?
hospitality. There we go. Let's give a toast to your hospitality.
Here, here.
I like toast. And he holds up a
Here.
glass. And as he holds up his glass, his attendant is rushing to pour champagne into
It's
it.
empty,
They
yeah.
are deft enough that they follow him as he holds it up with the bottle and they don't spill a drop. All of you see the same service held to your champagne glasses. As you lift them up, your attendants follow them to make sure that they are charged with champagne before you go to take a drink. And he goes, I'll drink to that. And you all cheers and take a drink. He says, it is my great honor, my friends, to present to you the King of Udril, Tactus the Unyielding. And the door behind him kind of opens again, and flanked by a couple of his cavalrymen, Tactus the Unyielding comes in, the King of Udril. He is a dwarf, but he's tall for a dwarf. He's more like a short human than a normal dwarf height, which is around 5 feet, 5'2", something like that.
Oh, wow.
He's got bright red curly hair on top of his head, and he has like a really well-trimmed beard, which is really weird for dwarven royalty. Like all the paintings and stuff you've seen, the statues of them on the walls that are outside of the castle are all like long bearded dwarves with stuff woven into them. He keeps his beard really well trimmed. He has clean lines of his jaw. He looks like a king. And he has a crown on top of his head. And otherwise, he's dressed for battle. Like he's wearing half plate. He has a broadsword at his side. He has his scepter in one hand. And then in his other hand is a champagne glass, which he's like, I don't want to miss out on the toasting. And he totally undercuts the incredible seriousness of his name and his dress by just immediately getting excited to be part of the moment.
Here, here.
When he enters and all of the heralding and announcing,
Yeah.
it looks like Alan's about to out of habit stand at attention, and then when it's undercut by his tone, he looks embarrassed and sits back down and is like, here.
Yeah, and so you all drink another champagne toast to the king.
Another
As he
one
comes
to the
in.
king.
Yeah, he comes in and he looks at you and says, wow, the tailor's done a remarkably fine job on you. You clean up nicely. Welcome, welcome, guests, welcome. I will be so pleased to speak with you in just a moment, but I must first attend to a few orders of business with this man. And you can see that next to him is a person holding a scribe's tools. He says, I just need to take care of a few last-minute messages. I know that in the sporting world, you probably don't have this kind of thing happen very often, but royal duties wait for no one. And so as he's sitting down, he's still dictating stuff in Dwarvish to the scribe who's next to him, who's just taking down notes rapid fire. Fox, you're able to tell even from this side of the parchment that he's writing in shorthand. He can't,
Right.
the king is speaking so fast that he can't write the words out. He's taking the notes in shorthand. And every time he finishes a note, he pulls it off of the tablet of paper that he's using and just holds it up in the air, and behind him an attendant takes it so he can start the next one, and the attendant walks off. And so there's just this constant rotation of attendants. The king dictates 15 or 16 missives this way, and I know some of you have comprehend languages. They're just generic kingdom missives. He's not doing anything that's plot relevant. It's make sure that we see to this guest's accommodations, and make sure that we take care of that thing for the training regiments because they need this later. That's stuff like that, general king things. What were you saying, Fox?
Out of curiosity, I'm going to tap on my table, my glass, right?
Yeah?
I am tapping at a pattern. It is Thieves' Cant for greetings, which is a traditional way to basically test if anybody else in the room understands Thieves' Cant, in which the reply is goodbye.
Striding in through a door opposite the king, a human with long green hair enters and turns to no one you can see in the hallway and says, goodbye then, and turns back into the room and slides into a chair slyly and kind of winks at you. And Lovell says, allow me to introduce you to Everard, the court jester. And Everard kind of leans forward and drums his fingers on the table, and he drums them in a pattern that says, it's kind of like a gotcha, like you're caught, you're blown type thing, so that you can see that he like is with it. But then he also is like, I need a turkey leg. And immediately one of his attendants rushes off and like comes back with a cooked turkey leg for him to eat.
I love this guy already.
And so now Everard the Jester has entered, and Lovell says, there should be a few other people who are joining us over the course of the night, but come, let's get to starters. And the servants who have all taken your orders immediately come forward with your cooked starters. It appears that they always wait for a cue from the royal family before actually serving the food. As your first course is being served and you're like mostly making pleasantries with Lovell while the king finishes his business, 2 other people come in. First, there is a dwarf woman who is average size for a dwarf, but built like a warrior and carries like a huge club on one hip and a very fine like rapier on her other hip. She walks in, hands off her weapons to an attendant, and sits down at the left hand of the king. And as she sits down, another attendant comes forward and like puts a thing of pearls around her neck and a tiara on her head. You get the idea that this is probably the queen. And opposite her at the table is where Lovell will sit. And then next to Lovell comes in Countess Alex Greenvale, who strides into the room, maroon scarf swishing behind her, and slides into her seat. She looks over at you and does a little bit of a double take when she makes eye contact with Jeb. She looks at Jeb, her eyes widen just a little bit, and then her mouth quirks up in a grin. She goes, we have strangers at our table tonight. You didn't tell me, Lovell. And Lovell says, allow me to introduce you to the newest champions of the Minecraft races. Remind me your company name. I can't remember the adventuring name you used.
Can I roll intuition real quick?
You can roll insight.
Insight, yeah, sorry. On Alex Greenville there?
Yeah, what are you trying to like gain insight about her?
Is she already in on it? Does she know?
Like, does she know who you are?
Yeah. I got a 9.
Oh, no.
It's hard to come to a conclusion at this point. You're not sure what to make of her behavior. She might have forgotten. You have definitely remembered her. All of you have.
Oh, yeah.
But she may not remember you. Maybe she doesn't recognize you in the clothes, but she also could she's not giving you any clear signs right now.
I'm just going to go ahead and let somebody else answer then.
Yes, remind me your company name.
Come on, Alan.
Alan will go, yes, I apologize. We recently named, the team was recently formed, so some of us are trying to remember off the top of our heads.
Well, they were sponsored by Edison anyway, and he turns back to Countess Greenvale. They were sponsored by Edison, so you know they had to be good, although this is the first race I've seen. Where did you train?
Yes, well, in fact, we have been friends with Edison for a while, and Elaine Mollusk, and we have been test driving her carts for a long time, and that skill definitely translated well into the Minecraft races. We had heard of them, and obviously Elaine is quite a fan and had been looking to sponsor a team, and so after a bit of training on her equipment, we felt comfortable enough to do the race. It was quite fun.
It was spectacular to watch. You should have seen the way they handled the cheating around them, and maybe cheated a little bit on their own. The king looks up from his...
It was a bit unexpected, but I felt as though we handled it
The king looks up
gracefully.
from his decrees and says, cheated to win, did we?
Oh.
I prefer to say we played within the bounds that we witnessed.
I mean...
All's fair.
And if it's worth anything, we were the last to go.
It was self-defense, of course.
The last to begin cheating, you mean?
Yes. But we did it the best.
It seems like it's a sport that is engineered to allow cheating. I don't understand why they banned ciphers in the first place.
Oh!
It is quite interesting. I'm not
If
quite
I
sure.
must insist, King, see, there's this nice trick to it. When you tell someone in a sport, but don't enforce that cheating's not allowed, it kind of invokes this idea of cleverness and skill and artistic vision on how you try to circumvent the rules that, let's be honest, nobody really cared about.
Honestly, I think that there's just a secret penchant for spectacle.
Exactly. Artistic value.
Well, we do admire a spectacle around here. And he finally hands off his quill and his other materials and turns to his plate. And you can see that he has been served 2 plates of food. And he looks at them and kind of seems to be sizing up which one is the larger. And then he takes that one and turns around and places it on an altar to Gomteus that is basically kind of nestled behind one of the stars. And then he comes back and sits down to begin eating. You'll forgive me my religious eccentricities, I hope.
We all have
Of course.
I have the utmost respect for you.
And he looks towards Zothkug and says, "So, are you well-known athletes in your own lands?"
I think we were mainly just sort of the practice team formed together recently and bumped up to the starting roster for this race.
You could consider us up
We all
and
have
coming.
different backgrounds that have lent us well to this. I myself started as a soldier. I know others of us have started as, various other things. I actually can't quite remember what the rest of
a
us
soldier
do.
were you?
I'm various
Outside
other
of
A
things.
soldier were you? And you see like his estimation of you seems
is
to like
correct.
have gone up a little bit. Like it's kind of gone up a notch. I'm going to take this opportunity to back us out to the metagame here. I have a spectrum in front of me. It goes from -3 to +3, and it represents the king's impression of you. You have basically this dinner is your opportunity to set the bar for how your future interactions with the king will go. Where you started on the spectrum is based on how Four Guy's reputation is up until now and what he's been told about you and things like that, factoring in the different stealthy things that you've done and all that kind of stuff. So like you have a starting point that is not necessarily 0, but this dinner is an opportunity for you to kind of impress the king. And I'm telling you that because sometimes I will give you hints as to whether it's going well or poorly in the way that the king seems to respond to different things you say.
Okay.
So you can use those to maybe inform how you behave in the future. So we zoom back into the moment. A soldier. I admire that. You know, my Clan Lupus, are all warriors.
Yes, in fact, I noticed throughout my time here so far that there seems to be a well-organized group here, and I also really admire the fact that the architecture here is extremely artistic while also extremely practical in defense terms.
Well, you know, we like to bring together the functional and the formal, if you will. We also, for example, I myself haven't the mind for building, so I take the opportunity as king to flex a little bit of my mojo with the other clans and bring in some of the better architects in Udril and have them contribute to the castle. I think it is important as a king to see all of our region represented here rather than just Clan Lupus, who, frankly, our influence is better seen in the woods than it is in any building or establishment when we can be with the rest of our clan. But enough about me. So you were a soldier. What took you out of soldiering and brought you together with this group? How did you come to leave that life and join this one?
Indeed. Well, I was a soldier for a while. In fact, after my tour of duty, I was stationed in Stainless, and afterwards, I began to have quite a fascination with science and the practicality of these new and newly created ciphers and such, and that actually led me to Elaine Mollusk and Edison with the work that they were doing on the cipher trucks, and I just was extremely interested, and the idea of handling a piece of equipment like that is solely powered on this new technology was extremely interesting to me, and so that's kind of how I decided to go that route.
Yes, in Udril we've fully adopted the new Wingle Digit trading system. I'm still learning about it myself as far as how it all works, but it does seem ingenious that it has been created.
It's quite, in fact, some might say too good to be true.
Indeed, some might. And you see that he almost seems to be on the same wavelength as you on that statement as well. Like he almost seems like he's kind of on board with the idea that maybe it's a little too good to be true. And what about you? He turns to Jeb. What about you, my short friend? What brings you into the company? Sorry, forgive the jest. I just don't get to call people short that often.
No, that's fair, and as you might expect, a man of my stature deals with it quite regularly, and so it's a bit like water off of a duck's back, and I appreciate that. Talking about the Wingle Digits, I find that they're while they are immensely interesting, they are very young and not very well established, and that gives me pause. I feel like there's a decent bit of potential in them, but at the same time, there's a lot of uncertainty as well. And I am curious to. I am optimistic for them, but curious to see how they pan out in the value that they bring to the world and their sustainability. Oh, I'm Jeb, by the way.
Nice to meet you, Jebediah. I like the long-term view on things. It's one of the things that some of the future rulers of Udril have not quite wrapped their heads around yet. And here he shoots a little glance at Loville, who like rolls his eyes and goes, "Father, you can't just get upset at me for going to watch sporting events on the weekends. It's not like I can attend any of your diplomatic meetings anyways. You always save all the important stuff for the weekends. What's the harm in having a little fun?" And for a brief moment, it looks like they're about to engage in like a little bit of a father-son argument, but the king is like, "We're hosting," and like kind of turns back to the table and says, "Anyway."
It may seem counterintuitive, but you know, my people are of the shorter-lived peoples in Urida. And so it might seem counterintuitive that we would be the type to think longer term. But it's because we value family and we think about the generations to come and not just our own longevity. And it's important to know the value of planting a tree or building a structure that you know that you're not going to use in the future, but that your family will.
And what about the value of risk? Countess Greenvale has just leaned forward to enter the conversation. She kind of leans into the table. For surely it's not worth simply building something safely. That doesn't leave any kind of legacy. That doesn't cement anything, right? Where does risk factor into your ventures?
I feel like risk is a very interesting thing, very interesting concept. Without risk, you might not achieve the greatness or the desired result that you had hoped for, your ambitions. But at the same time, no risk leaves a people and a family stifled and never changing. You know, just in the same way that all of us at this table have to breathe in and breathe out, we all need to understand the risk of letting go of our breath, but then the bravery and the risk of taking the next. Life's kind of like that.
And what would you say the risk would be of, for example, hypothetically, admitting known thieves into one's court? She looks over at Everard as if she's jesting about him.
Ooh.
Some may argue it is often more about the intent of the risk and the ends of the risk being taken. For example, thieving, as you brought up, there's a lot of interesting moral arguments to be made about stealing for survival. Is that wrong because stealing is wrong, or is that sustaining yourself, taking another chance in order to have the opportunity to take the risk of breathing in and out? That is not the only. My colleague Fox, or my colleague here.
I was going to say, you know, you give.
The king leans in as Alan is speaking, and he says, "So what you are saying is that essentially thieving could be equated to simply having to adapt to the circumstances the world has presented you with and build yourself basically into the circumstances you want."
Perhaps sort of like cheating within the confines of the Minecraft race. And then Alan will once again like motion over to
now,
Fox.
It's interesting to think about that. I really love philosophical debate like these. I'm not really ever given the chance, so I bow and respect that we're having this chance now.
Zothkog gives Fox a puzzling look when he says that.
Have an inspiration for that. What a great character moment.
So the thing about inviting people over is that there has to be a certain amount of trust, and of course you always got to be wary of the reputations that precede people, like, I'm sure, and I nod my head over to the jester, like some people around here, and I make a slight laugh. So if you think about it, you don't really know. The risk you're taking is not necessarily you're letting in the thieves, but that you're letting in someone called thieves. And there is and lies a difference. Do you understand where I'm getting
Countess
at?
says, I'm not sure I do.
See, and I go ahead and grab like a chicken leg and another chicken leg. And I'm like, all right, so this is a breast. This is a chicken leg, right? This is a thigh.
You literally said you were grabbing 2 chicken legs. So, okay.
I was also going to call him out for that.
No, this is intentional. Do you guys not understand the illustration
Yeah.
yet?
Of course, it's artistic.
Apparently I don't, but Your Majesty, we'll just go with this because like this is entertaining.
The king is like, he almost looks more amused than anything watching you and Greenvale spar a little bit.
You take this and this, and I'm aware of the fact I called them 2 different things, but they are in fact the same, right? Now, you wish to invite these 2 into your court, right? But this is your impressions of them, okay? These are perhaps your impressions. Now, and I go ahead and put them back on the plate, and I start pulling up my glass, and you give them a toast, and I pick up a napkin, and I throw it over the glass, and you drink it all away, and nothing happens there. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to roll sleight of hand to pick up the thigh instead of the chicken leg, or the breast instead of the chicken leg, and switch them around while I'm flourishing the cloth in the glass. And for sleight of hand, I rolled 16.
Okay, I'm going to add a die to the attention pool. So you rolled a 16.
And from underneath the cloth, I will pull the breast. But perhaps,
Okay.
as I put it back down, you were misled by the mere impressions it gave you. And perhaps there is more to the eye than what you have seen.
Loville claps his hands like, a fantastic trick. And it seems like some of the men-at-arms around the room and the attendants and stuff are pretty impressed by it too. You distinctly note that the king does not seem particularly moved. Like, he doesn't seem upset about it, but like, he's not surprised.
Sure.
He kind of knows the jig. And also Everard the jester totally saw through your move. But
Yeah.
everybody else is like, and Greenvale kind of sits back and goes, an interesting enough supposition. And the king, kind of like smoothing over the awkward pause at the table, leans in and says to Fox, so how long have you been practicing tricks such as that? Were you a magician before you moved into sporting?
Well, actually, my dear friend here, Zoth, and I traveled the roads together. And one of the things I love to do was give a show. I mean, it's one thing to entertain, but it's another to really show how much the world can be bent without magic. How much you can change someone's perception and then immediately circumvent it with something beautiful.
The king looks over at Zothkug and goes, tell me about these shows, Zothkug. Yes.
Yes, that is correct. Oh, they were magnificent. We would often perform together, or one of us would aid or assist the other in whatever performance they were giving at the time. And a lot of it is about managing expectations. So people's perception of what is going to happen versus what the difference between what they expect to happen versus what actually happens is generally where the showmanship takes place. If people are expecting magic and you give them magic, then they are, impressed and enjoy it. But if you say, start off with magic and you add singing or you add dancing or some other art form to complement the performance, well then you have a show. And then Zothkog will activate his hat as a simple demonstration of expectations.
The mug on top of it.
Ooh.
Yes.
The mug begins to glow brightly in the room, and everyone is kind of a little bit impressed by it. The jester Everard stands up and goes, I can appreciate these kinds of differences. It's similar to what you might see in architecture when someone asks for a wall and you give them a map. And he looks out at the wall ringing the kingdom and kind of spins around and he says, and yet they couldn't have plotted their expectations. And he kind of like looks around for a joke and he doesn't really seem to get one. And you get the sense that maybe Everard is like trying to still earn his place in the king's court. Like he might be a little new. He's just like kind of looking around. Like, and he kind of sits back down in his seat.
Alan gives him a subtle thumbs up.
The king leans in and says, so the two of you have been traveling together for a long time then?
Well, you could say we came from the same village.
Practically grew up together.
Though we do travel with different views on life.
And yet you've stayed together all this time?
Well, of course. I mean, just because there are two different views, like I've said, it's all about perception.
You get the sense that the king is like really impressed by your answer. And as you're talking, he kind of reaches up to his neck where he's not wearing like a traditional like jewelry type necklace, but he's wearing a necklace with like just a little bit of wolf fur that's kind of woven into a pendant. And he like kind of runs his finger along the wolf fur a little bit and then like kind of pays more attention to, like kind of puts his hand down and is paying more attention. But he seems to have like really liked this answer.
I mean,
I'll say that having different views makes for better companionship as you bring different things to different problems and are able to work through an assortment of issues complementing each other where one person falls short, the other can pick up and vice versa.
I agreed wholeheartedly with that answer.
As do I. Shall we have our main courses? And the king kind of turns to the attendants and nods at them, and they bring forward a main course. And as with everything else, it is cooked exquisitely. There's not like a thing out of place. It's exactly what you asked for. Even like some of you, like Jeb probably ordered something that's like a Tumbleweb special, and they still have managed to do it like very accurately to how it should taste and all that kind of stuff. They've like their hospitality here is great.
My king.
Yes.
First,
Am I your king?
well,
He kind of leans back and like,
I
you're
guess
not trying to just get something from me, are you?
I will say, since I'm
But
in
he's
your
got
land,
like a playful look in his eye. He's not
Yeah.
like, he's not actually offended.
Well, I'm in your land. I mean, there really isn't much difference, is there?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
If I may, and I look over to the jester, maybe me and Everand can provide entertainment while others eat. I would like to show maybe some of the tricks I have. Perhaps compliment the
I'm
dinner.
gonna roll the tension pool. There's only one die in it.
5 6.
Suddenly, Alex chokeholds you.
Alex leans over to the king though and does whisper something in his ear.
Oh no!
And as she's whispering in his ear, the doors that the jester walked in are pushed open, and a tall, plate-armored elf walks in. He has the holy symbol of Gomteus, which is a moon conjoined to a tornado, on his left, like kind of chest plate, and he has a great sword slung across his back, and he has this long, flowing black cape. And as he walks in, he says, "Apologies for the delay, my liege. I wasn't presentable for a fine meal after my travel, and I took the time to wash first." And the king looks over towards him, having, interrupted his dinner, and he very slowly nods regally. And you, for the first time, see the bearing of like a king who is called the Unyielding. And he kind of looks towards him and nods regally. And then as they kind of lock eyes with each other and they're staring each other down, and the king is like kind of putting him in his place a little bit for being tardy to something he was invited to, you can see that both of their faces begin to kind of quirk into a little grin until they can't hold it anymore and they burst out laughing. And the king jumps up and he goes, "Trinidad, my old friend. Anything to make sure you didn't smell like the trail." And he gives him a hug and walks him over to the table and gives him a seat next to Zothkug. And immediately food is brought forward. The attendants here clearly know Trinidad's order. They walk forward and set him down. He says, "I was just meeting some of our new guests here. Lovell has brought the most recent champions of the Minecraft races." And Trinidad looks towards you and goes, "Indeed. Well, congratulations on your recent victory. I understand it is quite a cutthroat sport, and very good to you for winning it." And he sits back in his chair, and he clearly doesn't really plan to contribute to the talking. He's worn out from a long day of travel and is just trying to kind of eat and keep up appearances and be respectful to the king by showing up at his dinner. However, it does seem to have totally distracted the king from what Fox said about him and Everard, and the conversation at the table kind of resumes. And whatever Alex Greenvale said is also kind of glossed over as the main courses are brought out and you all kind of sit down and are able to continue eating. Everard looks over at Fox and he shrugs "Well, we tried." And he kind of sits back in his chair and begins eating his food. And he's still here. He's not that bothered, but he was like, that could have been fun.
I have a couple of chickens, some Brussels sprouts, asparagus, but also some nicely cut veal overlaid over a nice pasta on top of everything. In the meantime, I'm going to sit here and juggle one of the sprouts with my fork and just playfully launch it to Everend over there.
Roll sleight of hand to not hit somebody else.
My mama used to say we shouldn't play with our food.
I'm going to see if he's going to yes and me. That's a 17.
Okay, so you're tossing it to Everard?
Yeah.
You toss it over to Everard, and as you do, a couple of the people at the table lean back gasping and surprised and whatever. But Everard, who is eating, doesn't look up, but instead he finishes eating with his fork and then lifts it up to catch it with the handle at the back of his fork, and he twirls the fork around his finger to bat it back to you. And so now you're passing it back and forth across the table. Everard is just he's still eating between throws, but he's continuing to bat it back to you. He rolled a natural 20, so he's killing it right now.
Oh wow, nice.
So in for this game.
Brussels ball.
Brussels ball, the new sport.
ball.
I
And
endeavor
Lovell
to
is
be,
watching go ahead.
I endeavor to be is more and more. I feel like the thing is you got to be more and more casual. It's like playing horse. So whoever can more casually bat it back. So that's what I'm attempting to do, is just play along and pretend as if though I don't even notice that I'm playing this game.
Okay, so you continue trying to. You basically the game gets more and more elaborate as you're sitting there.
Alan will shoot Fox a little bit of a glance of kind of hey, tone it down a little bit.
I'm gonna.
And Jeb will go like this.
I'm gonna make a very obvious hurt expression, with my mouth agape, and as it's agape, I would like to catch the Brussels sprout with my mouth.
One more sleight of hand roll. Trevor, what should the
Sleight of mouth roll.
What should the
please.
DC
Sleight
be?
of mouth.
Oh, it sounds like it doesn't matter. Did you not 20 it?
No, of course not.
You should confirm that nat 1.
No, I didn't give you an entire story, okay? It's not a nat 1.
I'm ready.
Okay.
It is a 22.
What is
Oh,
it?
okay. Yeah, you're able to catch it. No sweat. You catch it and it disappears, and you look up and you can see that Alan and Jeb have both clued in on the fact that the king was kind of just watching a little bit unamused, maybe this is a little too juvenile for his taste. And he just goes back to eating.
I shrug.
A question, Your Majesty.
Yes.
There's a saying in my town that we judge ourselves by our intentions and we judge others by their actions. What do you think of that?
The king folds his arms and sits back. Someone comes forward to refill his glass. He puts up a hand to hold them off. We judge ourselves by our intentions and others by their actions.
Not saying that we should, just that we do. Because how can a man know another man's intentions?
I think it is accurate. I think it is one of the reasons that the way of wind and water is so powerful, is that it forces us out of that mindset because we aren't to make any judgments. My clan dates back a long way. We are actually some of the first creatures to have been crafted by Gomteus himself. And in following his way and allowing the trials that come before us to grow us into who we are to be, even when things that are not positive actions occur, rather than focusing on the other creature or trying to pass judgment on them, it is our intent to use the circumstance to continue to grow ourselves and to hope that they will do the same. It is a great saying. I approve of this proverb. Let's drink to it. And the king holds up a mug instead of a champagne glass, and like the ale starts flowing at the table, you know? And so, yeah. But you get the sense that you have like, that was like a big win with the king. Like he was big into that phrase that you came up with. You see him lean over to one of his scribes while everyone is drinking and whisper something, and the scribe, you can read the paper. He has written down the proverb that you gave him and has walked off to give it to someone. You're not sure what the intent of it is, but it's like, it's clearly made an impression because the king wanted a written copy of it.
It makes Fox think for a second. Just Fox is just thinking for a second, pauses. That's it.
Lovell kind of is the next one to sort of break the happy silence, and he says, well, tomorrow I must show you around the clan holdings before you depart. What do you say to journeying with me?
Aye.
A resounding yes from
Countess Greenvale leans in and says, surely you don't trust foreigners to wander around the holdings with your son, Majesty. And the king says, I think they've earned a shot. Why don't you take them around the holdings, Lovell? And she sits back with like a real upset look on her face. She looks over towards you, catches you watching her face, and then it like quirks into another little grin. She winks at Jeb and then goes back to eating her food. The king, meanwhile, says, I apologize that I cannot entertain you for longer tonight, but some business does await me now. And Trinidad stands up as if he's like, I am the business. You know, he like stands up to kind of walk out of the room. And the king stands up and leaves with him so that it's just you, Everard the Jester, the men-at-arms and stuff around the outside of the room, and Countess Greenvale at the table. The Countess just kind of looks towards you and without another word stands up and again, almost like a lash flicking towards you, like her scarf kind of flings out at you as she twirls to like exit the room, and she kind of strides out. The sun has now gone fully down over the horizon, and there's just kind of like blue hour sky above you. And the jester says, well, I hope I'll get to see you tomorrow.
Actually, Everand.
Yes?
Do you play an instrument?
Alas, I do, but mine is broken. It is being repaired.
Well, perhaps I can share some songs with you.
This night?
Sure. I only have a short time anyway before I must retire with my companions.
That sounds lovely. Allow me to go and change, and I will rejoin you. Where are you staying? What room are you in?
Why, I am in the maroon apricot.
Yes,
fruit.
The maroon fruit. I will join you there shortly. And he stands up and kind of strides out of the room. And again, his servants come forward. His like spots attendant comes forward, clears off the place setting, whatever. It's like no one even sat there in 5 minutes.
Has the queen said anything at all, or like shown any reaction to anything
no,
in particular?
she like sat down and ate and has stood up and left with the king.
Stonewalled.
Has the king left?
Yeah, he's like strode out of the room. So it's just you and Lovell who are left now. And the other attendants in the room.
I wanted to say something,
you
but
can,
that's all right.
Do you want to go back and say something to him before he leaves?
As a parting, just as he's, I imagine he stands up, announces that he's going to go and take care of some business, and everybody else stands up kind of in respect.
Right.
And Jeb stands up on his chair so that he's kind of like at least shoulder height level with other folks. And he says, Your Majesty, thank you from the bottom of my heart for the hospitality you provided. I don't presume to have another audience with you. I will not make that assumption, but I would love to have a conversation about all of the kings before. And I want to emphasize that.
The king looks at you and he nods and says, I'll have the chamberlain look into my calendar.
I am like, ooh, I like that. Fox likes that.
Thank you again, Your Majesty.
And he strides out. The rest of the dinner kind of disperses, and Lovell says, "Shall I have them take you back to your rooms?"
Quick question, Lovell.
Yes.
You said the king has never been to a Minecraft race?
No, he does not think of the sport as worth watching in the way that some of his more traditional sports might capture his attention. I'm working on him.
Does he prefer the combative sports, like jousting and such?
Yes.
Okay.
And those he only watches, if you ask me, because it's a chance to check in on the training of his actual garrisons.
So as we're walking out, I'm like, so Alan, imagine a cipher that's kind of like box shaped that you could have like an image spell in, and then like the games that they can play, and we just kind of like trail off.
Jeb, we've discussed this already. I think it's incredibly interesting, but not worth our time at the moment.
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. I forgot.
Now, toothbrushes, on the other hand,
I had a breakthrough with this earlier
No,
today.
wait. I'm gonna go like wrap an arm around both of them. Well, actually, I'm gonna put a hand on Jeb's back and wrap my arm around. Around Alan, like, no, wait. I like this box idea. I like this.
Would you believe it if I told you I brushed my teeth today without touching the toothbrush? I'll show you later.
What?
Yeah.
What is? You guys brush your teeth?
As you are having this conversation on your way back to the rooms, the men-at-arms lead you back to your rooms. They stop at the door just like they did before. They're not like, you're not prisoners. They're just keeping you safe. You walk into the rooms. You're walking down the hallway. Fox, as your group is walking to your rooms, you stride past some of the other rooms on your way, and when you pass Jeb's room, you notice out of the corner of your eye something. It might be nothing, or it might be something. There's like a little trace of something powdery on the doorknob.
Do I get a ping?
You have not gotten a ping.
Hey, Jeb, before we
what?
retire, do you want to come to the common room? I insist, and I just kind of, because he's so small, I just kind of like force him.
Yeah, sure.
Towards the common room.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen your room yet, but like, okay. I mean, if you really want
No,
to.
to the common room.
So the moldy
Common
fruit room or something. Oh, common room. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I insist on a game of cards.
Okay.
Are we betting this time?
I mean,
No,
we all kind
no.
of pool our money. There's not much to
This is
for
really
game for me.
just a game between me and Jeb. I'm gonna pull out a deck of
do
cards.
you need us to like go to our rooms, or?
No, you can watch.
I pull a deck of
you'll
my
see.
own cards out.
So Alan, tell
Ooh,
me more about this teeth brushing thing.
As I shuffle.
Well, the intention of it is to clean off extra residue that is collected on your teeth throughout the day, so that it doesn't stay there and actually decay the things the stuff your teeth is made out of. Now, we don't necessarily know exactly what your teeth are made out of yet. However, we have deduced that when bits of food are left on the teeth, it can be very bad for the
Does this apply?
And so
Does this apply to tusks too?
All right, Jeb. I'm going to deal you
I'm not
your
sure.
hand,
All right.
and I deal back and forth. I can roll for it if you want, but I intend to have used not an actual deck of cards, but a deck of the alphabet with multiple reoccurrences. And I'm going to spell out door bad as his hand as I deal it, using the shuffle to make sure I have it stacked correctly.
I'm getting faint traces of birthday cake. That's an episode 2 callback.
Yeah,
That is a
right.
huge deep cut.
I mean, Jeb, if it tastes like birthday cake, it must be birthday cake.
That's what I've always said. That's what I have always said.
Well, it's never truer than it is now.
Is it your birthday, Alan?
no, my birthday is not for several months.
Oh, come now. It's just a proverb.
Fox.
I'm
Yes.
unfamiliar with this one.
I lean in really close.
I look around. Is there servants?
There's only the one attendant who is out of earshot. Like, he's close enough that he would
Okay.
hear if you yelled for him, but he is not currently in the
Hey.
room.
Yeah.
What does dab rude mean?
Okay, Jeb. It's bad door. Door bad.
So when you spelled the word out, you should have pointed it towards me, not towards you.
My fault.
Okay.
But did you pick up?
I'm adding layers to this cake. I think I'm starting to figure it out.
Ask one of the servants to retrieve something from your room.
Oh. Okay.
Anything. Hey, good sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
yelled to
Would
the
you like me
servant.
to light the torches?
I am in dire need of my toothbrush from my room. The food that I have is really starting to cake up on my tusks. Could you go and get it for me? I am in the chartreuse stairs
Yes,
room.
sir. I will fetch it shortly. And he strides from the room down the hallway. You can still see him. The hallway's a straight line. So you watch as he walks down the hallway, gets to your door, turns the doorknob, opens it up, and walks in.
All right, and Jeb just starts
As he's in the
counting.
room. As he's in the room, I tell Jeb, there was powder on your doorknob that was not there before.
Jeb looks at his paw. I haven't had dandruff on my hands in a while. I mean, it's probably
The
not
servant
me.
comes back with your toothbrush in hand. He walks down and holds it out to you. Here you are. I've even applied some toothpaste.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Swish it in my water cup.
He turns to you guys again, like clearly expecting you at some point to say yes to this. Would you like me to light the torches?
Yes.
Yes,
Very
he's-
well. Fine.
Could you light half of them, though?
Sure. And he lights half the torches, basically alternating every other one around the bird cage.
Good mood lighting choice.
It's all about the ambiance.
Perception.
Yeah?
Was the toothbrush also covered the handle?
No. I mean, there's
Okay,
a teeny little bit of powder that you can see coming off of the servant's hand, but he just touched the door. The toothbrush doesn't seem like it had powder on it. Like,
Does he have gloves on?
coated. Yeah.
Okay. Sir,
Yes?
Yes, Fox. I'm thinking the same thing. Your gloves,
What's that
sir.
on
Could
your-
we borrow your gloves for a game?
Just certainly. And he takes off his gloves and hands them to you.
I take the
little
offhanded one and I whap Fox in the face with it. Ha ha! Really lightly. Just lightly.
and I go to look at my glove. Is my glove the one with the dust?
Yes, your
on
glove
it?
is
I
the
said
one with
his
the dust on it.
offhand.
He
I
took
took
the
the
offhand.
offhand
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, but we can't play a game like this, chap. Good
It's
sir.
already begun. Pop.
Did you clean? Oh,
I'm too up.
good with you. I back away out of Jeb's reach.
Okay.
Sir, do you clean your gloves?
Of course I do, sir.
Oh, wait, look at this. And I show him the glove.
That's strange. Some sort of chalk material? He picks up the
mean-
glove and kind of looks at it closely, and he like brushes it off with his finger that's not like his hands are not gloved anymore. He brushes it off. Strange. I'll go clean it at once, sir. And he holds out his hand for the other glove. May I have that one so I can clean them both?
Absolutely. Pop. Here you go. And I hit Fox one last time.
He takes them and
All right.
strides down the hallway and actually leaves the common area.
I will get you next time. I yell to Jeb as he walks away.
What are
Jeb.
the rules of this game?
I'm afraid we may have just killed a man.
It's quite interesting. It did not seem to have any instantaneous.
But what if it's
Effect.
delayed?
Is it not?
I'm not sure.
What is it?
It could just be chalk. I'm not sure what the practicality of that would be.
To know where you've been?
Did we see anything dust or chalk related earlier today?
Bear with me. I'm gonna go over to my room and grab just a single utensil out of my thieves' tools, more like a screwdriver. And I will grab a piece of cloth, like a napkin that was laying on the table, and I will go ahead and scrape some of the chalk off onto the cloth, and bring it back to our
I love that part
table.
of Fox's thieves tools is literally a flathead screwdriver. Like, guys, I'm gonna pick the lock, and you just like unscrews the doorknob from the door.
You jest,
right.
but it is a valid way to take off a door.
And since his last one broke, he just took this from Alan's tool.
So I'm gonna go ahead. All right, are you guys able to analyze this in some way with whatever y'all do?
Yes.
Without touching it.
I can. Well, not here. Not at the game table. Anything that I can do is going to be Agic May.
You need to work on that.
Cake with sprinkles.
Yeah, we'll work on that, Cheb. We'll work on the delivery.
If it's something from a plant, I might be able to offer some assistance.
Do you recognize it, maybe?
Chalk plant.
Have a good look.
Could I inspect the substance and see if it's plant related?
Yeah, roll nature.
13.
It looks like chalk to you. Like it seems like natural chalk.
Okay. It looks like chalk.
Okay, hear me out. My hands are a little different than y'all's. Y'all, you guys you don't have fur and little pads on your fingers, which, by the way, kind of weird, but I get it,
It's weird that we don't, or it's weird that you do?
Weird that you don't, but I mean, I don't know. Anyway,
We're not gonna open this.
so what if when you guys with like your oily fingers touch the doorknob, like leaves little prints, and maybe they're like dust and chalk to try to like absorb that or something. My other thought was, what if they did something with chalk at the top of the door and it dusted down and got on the doorknob?
I mean, the first
What
one
if it
is
was to track your whereabouts?
Unless they have a way of
Here.
transporting those prints to something else.
Give me a second. I'm gonna take the cloth, just to be safe, so you can get back into your room. I'm gonna completely wipe clean, making very careful not to ever touch this chalk. The entire doorknob.
Before you wipe it off, the symbol is a little bit broken and will require an intelligence check to decipher what it is, but you're pretty sure something was written in chalk on this doorknob.
What?
I immediately stop before I brush it.
You almost inhaled some of
back.
that chalk. Are you all right?
Yeah, right. Chip. One of you two.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm gonna go ahead, pull out like, I'm just gonna take the risk. I'm gonna take the chalk that's already on the napkin, and I'm going to try to draw that symbol I just saw. The best of my abilities.
You're able to do like a halfway decent facsimile of the symbol, but it's enough for you to realize that it's a Thieves' Cant symbol. The Thieves' Cant symbol says this is the room. Like that's what the symbol means. Like this is the place.
Oh, Jeb, it's not poison.
Okay. That's good. That means we didn't kill the servant.
What is it?
Jeb.
What?
Oh my God.
What
You
about?
have to move your rod.
I mean, my rod's on my person.
Is it? Okay, good. Because if you have anything magical in your room,
I mean, I've got.
this is going to be an issue.
We have our lockbox with all of our stuff in there.
Should I be worried about my room?
No, just Jeb. Do you have anything
I have a rod too.
inherently, like, actually active magic?
Yeah, I always keep it on. It's on when I touch it, and I currently have it. I currently
No, I
have
mean,
it
in
in
the
my
safe
tunic,
box.
like slid down, like under my armpit, down my thigh, like kind of like if I were to slide it into my belt to just hold it, but it's on the inside of my clothes is where I've been keeping it.
I'm talking about inside of your safe.
Wait, what about like the lockbox?
Yes.
What about?
Is there anything magical in there?
No.
All right, you cannot take that rod back into your room.
Why?
Somebody marked your room, and the only thing I can think of is when we talked about somebody thinking that perhaps you having something magical was not a good thing. They might be trying to search your room. They might be looking for the rod.
Hey, hold on, Alan. Hold on. Fox, has somebody entered this door lately? Can you tell? Like, it was marked. Can you tell if somebody went in?
I'm gonna go back and inspect the door. Besides, obviously,
I figured we were outside the door.
Chad has added a die to the tension pool.
Besides the obvious smear from the glove, do I see any traces that somebody's entered since we left? I gander this is a stretch, but
Roll an investigation check.
it is a stretch. I got an 11.
You see a strand of red hair sticking out of the door frame. It's at approximately shoulder height for you. Just like a single strand of red hair, not like a bunch of it.
And who do we remember has red hair?
The king.
I bring the red hair back. This was in your door frame.
Okay. So somebody went in with red hair. Somebody did not enter or exit the balcony because I took care of that.
Somebody went straight through your front door.
So that would mean somebody who has authority to do so, or the capability of doing so. Jeb also remembers that he didn't lock the door. So I mean, no, it's anybody.
I don't know if this is relevant, but I heard the servants talking earlier. There was a ranger who visited King Tanitras, and after the ranger visited, he summoned a council of soldiers, champions. What does a holy man need with 8 warriors right now?
I have
An escort?
no idea whether that has anything to do with this. I don't know if that is extremely relevant at this moment. I do believe there's 2 ways that we could go about this. One of them is that none of us enter Jeb's room, and Jeb stays in one of our rooms tonight, or we all enter Jeb's room and fight off whatever trap or person is laying in wait.
Who has the key to the lockbox?
Pillow
You do.
fort.
You.
Okay.
There's only one key. According to what you were told, there's only one key to each lockbox, and the key is in the box when you arrive. So you should be
okay.
the only person. The Chamberlain was very specific that like even he and his staff don't have access to your lockbox.
Gotcha.
So only you should be able to get into that lockbox, and it's hidden behind that panel in the wall. So like it would take a lot of knowledge for someone to get to it.
I think we should go in.
All of us?
We could make a pillow fort and then...
I'm almost tempted to say the opposite.
I believe that it may be better. We talked earlier about risk.
If we have a pillow fort, they won't know where we're sleeping exactly, and then they have to either navigate it carefully or they knock it over, and then we know someone's here.
I need to make a rendezvous. If you guys are going to do that, I will join you, but it'll have to be after my rendezvous.
It may be better to do this before the rendezvous.
Well, I'll
I agree.
enter with you now, but if it's clear,
Yes.
then I will be waiting in my room.
All right. First we rendezvous me, and then you rendezvous.
Are we making a fort or not?
We are not worrying about a fort right now.
Jeb, we're going to have to work on your vocabulary.
I mean,
Let's enter the
if you
room.
think so, I got a couple words for you. I'm gonna take
Alan is gonna go over to the
Okay.
door.
You open the door. It doesn't have any resistance, no trap on the doorknob or anything like that. You open the door. Yes?
As if we pass through it, nothing happens. I'm just going to brush off the chalk.
Yep. You brush off the chalk. The chalk is gone.
I put my hand into my pouch of spell slots.
Okay. You stride into the gaudy, sort of gold aesthetic chartreuse stair, and the room seems pretty much undisturbed from where you are. Like, you can't see anything out of place from here.
Oh, I'm gonna go grab my pot before anything happens.
Okay. That could mean a couple things with Zoth.
Yeah,
Say,
I can.
that's the story of Zoth's life.
He's giving that up.
Not my pot. I mean my plants. Wait.
Anyway, Alan is gonna basically do like as he learned in his soldier training. He's gonna clear the room basically.
Okay.
Like check every corner.
Yeah. So as you're methodically clearing the room, one of the things you do is press on the secret panel to open it up and check the integrity of the lockbox. The whole box is gone.
Ah.
I immediately go to my room and check
And
my.
on that note,
No.
tonight's episode of the
No.
Wing Badger Tavern comes to a close.
No.
Hey there, it's Josh, your Wing Badger Game Master. According to our analytics, there's like 100 of you listening, which is awesome, and we love that, and we're so excited, but we have absolutely no idea if you're actually enjoying yourselves. So if you would be so kind as to leave us a review so we can figure out how we can improve to continue giving you an experience that you really enjoy, we'd be really thankful about it. Thanks, we'll see you next week.
Well, you and me, the end of the video, kinda awkward. Kind of waiting for you to subscribe and all that. I'm just gonna head out.